The story begins with Akihito sitting silently in a prison cell, bound by handcuffs and chains. A girl named Fuyumi approaches him and lets him know it's time. Akihito looks up at her, smiles faintly, and gets ready to leave. The destination, school. The scene shifts to Kayamai High School where chaos seems to be part of the routine. Two students are in the middle of a fight surrounded by classmates who cheer them on, shouting and urging them to finish it quickly. In the center stands Yuki, a boy with glasses, unsure of how he even got dragged into this. Before he can process much, his opponent, Hirubari, closes in and lands a punch. The crowd's energy intensifies, yelling out where to aim next. Yuki struggles to defend himself. Each blow is more painful than the last and he starts to wonder when or if it will end. Eventually, the fight concludes. Hirubari remains on his feet. Yuki doesn't. Ryugo, the student in charge of the event, announces the winner to loud applause. Some students mock Yuki, questioning why he was even involved. Yorigari looks pleased with the result. Ryugo approaches Yuki, still lying on the ground, and reminds him he needs to toughen up. He leaves a note on Yuki's chest, labeling him the day's punching bag. Later in the classroom, things only get worse. Another student hits Yuki without warning. He tries to stay upright. Suzuki, a boy in a red shirt, calls on others to take their turn. One student steps up, frustrated about losing a bet placed on Yuki in the earlier fight, and adds his punch to the tally. Suzuki laughs, amused by the spectacle, then steps forward himself. He delivers a strong punch that leaves Yuki so shaken. He ends up vomiting. The class erupts in cheers and claps as if it's a game. Suzuki is declared the winner of their own twisted contest. Then comes Tanaka. He approaches Yuki with disappointment, asking how long this kind of failure will continue. He demands Yuki's wallet. Inside, there's not much, just a few coupons and some coins. Tanaka takes the money anyway. When Yuki mentions it was meant for lunch, Tanaka lashes out and strikes him, letting out a few cruel words. The surrounding students approve, cheering him on. Yuki feels crushed. He's overwhelmed and lost, wondering why life has turned so relentlessly unfair. For a moment, he wishes someone, anyone, would step in and put an end to this, even someone dangerous, even someone unpredictable. Suddenly, the wish comes true. A student bolts toward the crowd. Before anyone can react, Tanaka is struck by a flying kick. Yuki's wallet explodes into the air, coins and coupons scattering. Everyone freezes. Akihito, now standing tall, calmly pulls out his phone. He checks Tanaka's name, worth only 1 point. Not impressive, and is visibly disappointed. Suzuki and the others demand to know who this guy is. Akihito simply smiles and introduces himself as the new transfer student. Everyone is stunned. Suzuki reacts by grabbing a chair and hurling it at Akihito. Yuki watches terrified, but at the last moment, Akihito easily dodges the chair. One student tells him to calm down, but it's too late. Akihito reappears behind Suzuki and knocks him off balance with a clean strike to the legs. He checks his phone again, adding up the total, 25 points earned from the students he just took down. Pleased, he surveys the group and makes it clear he's not done yet. He proceeds to take out the rest of the students with ease. Yuki watches in shock, wondering who this new arrival truly is. The focus shifts to a professional setting. A large office where Fuyumi stands before a panel. She confirms that a new project has been approved. Its purpose to lower school crime rates. Not everyone is on board. Some question whether such a system should exist at all. Doubting the leadership behind it, Fuyumi explains that students with past criminal records are placed into troubled schools. In exchange for cleaning up the environment, they receive reduced sentences. This is the core of the program. Back at Kayame, Hakuto is fiddling with his phone, trying to figure out how to activate the camera. He turns to Yuki, the only one around, and asks for help. Yuki hesitates, still intimidated, but eventually steps forward. Akihito, despite his unpredictability, had saved him earlier. That counts for something. Yuki shows him how to use the camera. Akihito thanks him, then invites Yuki to be in the photo too. Nervously, Yuki agrees. They both smile. For a brief moment, things feel normal. Akihito then pulls the punching bag note off Yuki's shirt and questions why he had been wearing it. Yuki explains the rules. If you lose in the underground fights, you wear the label. Curious, Akihito asks more. Yuki tells him about the Maneda brothers who force weaker students to fight and make money off the bets. Akihito reacts strongly, calling it terrible, but then something shifts. He lights up, suddenly fascinated by the idea. He asks if students are allowed to bet on themselves and win money. He pulls out his phone again and searches for the Maneda brothers. Ryugo is worth 10 points. Ryugo 30. That's a total of 40. Yuki, still trying to understand this point system, asks what it all means. Akihito explains that every time he defeats someone who deserves it, a day is shaved off his sentence. He too has a past filled with mistakes. The final scene returns to the Maneda brothers. Ryugo is sitting on the stairs when Suzuki and the others rush in, apologizing for being late. Ryugo doesn't take it well. He hits Suzuki and scolds the group. Then he notices something odd. Their faces are bruised. He asks what happened. Suzuki hesitates, then explains that a new transfer student is responsible. Ryugo's expression darkens. One student adds that the newcomer might be even stronger than him. Ryugo doesn't appreciate that. He gets the student buseta and tells the group to go find this new student, Akihito, and bring him over immediately. Yuki and Akihito walk side by side, heading toward the usual spot where the underground fight games take place. When they arrive, Yuki points it out. Sure enough, two students are already mid-fight, surrounded by a loud, energetic crowd. Students shout from all sides, aiding the fighters on, demanding they keep swinging and show no fear. Eventually, the match ends. Both fighters look exhausted and beaten, but only one of them is declared the winner. Ryugo, the one running the show, announces that the student with curly hair came out on top. The winner is barely standing, panting heavily. Ryugo steps closer and makes a show of inspecting him, pointing out how messed up his nose looks. Then jokingly and cruelly, he grabs it and gives it a squeeze. The boy lets out a scream. The crowd bursts into laughter, cheering Ryugo on and calling him the best. Some shout that it looks like the guy just got a free nose job. It's all entertainment to them. Off to the side, Yuki watches in disbelief. He mutters to himself that this has gone too far. Akihito, calm as ever, checks his phone and confirms that the person in charge, Ryugo, is one of the Maneda brothers. His profile shows a value of 10 points. Akihito seems satisfied. Then casually, he tells Yuki that if he wins today, he expects a burger in return. Yuki's caught off guard. He starts to wonder if Akihito is really planning to fight Ryugo. Without saying much more, Akihito makes his way toward the ring, where Ryugo is preparing for the next match. Raising his hand, he signals that he wants in. Ryugo turns around surprised to see someone unfamiliar. Suzuki steps in and explains that this is Akihito, the new transfer student. Ryugo stares at him for a moment, then it clicks. This is the same guy who beat Suzuki and the others the day before. Recognizing him, Ryugo agrees to let him fight. Akihito lights up with excitement. But before Ryugo can pick an opponent for him, Akihito makes a request. He wants to choose who he fights. Ryugo allows it, and Akihito makes his choice. He wants to go up against Ryugo himself. The crowd erupts in laughter, not taking him seriously. Even Yuki gasps, unsure if he just heard that right. Ryugo, now annoyed, reminds Akihito that he's the strongest fighter here and asks if he's really sure. Akihito doesn't back down. For him, a win is a win no matter who the opponent is. Irritated, Ryugo grabs a bucket and declares a special rule. The fight will only end when one of them can no longer continue. Cheers are up from the crowd again. Some students begin placing bets. None of them believe Akihito stands a chance. Ryugo taunts him, commenting on his appearance and vowing to turn him into his personal pet. He then wraps a strange tool around his hand, preparing to fight. Akihito notices and wonders why he's using a weapon. But before he can process it, the match is announced. Ryugo wastes no time. He leaps into the air and attacks. Akihito is stunned by how fast he moves. The crowd goes wild, recognizing the weapon as a sign that Ryugo is taking this seriously. Akihito asks if weapons are even allowed. Ryugo doesn't answer directly, but the message is clear. The only rule is that one of them has to fall. With that, Ryugo lands a powerful hit and follows it up with another. Akihito stumbles, clearly hurt. The students laugh and taunt him, mocking the confidence he had moments ago. They tell him to stop standing still and actually fight back. Another cheer goes up when someone points out that only 2 hits have left him looking weak. They start teasing him, asking if he wants to run back home. In the crowd, Yuki watches anxiously. Doubt creeps in. Maybe this was a mistake. He whispers that going up against one of the Maneda brothers might have been the worst possible decision. Meanwhile, Ryugo walks up to Akihito, who's still trying to recover. He circles him smug and superior, asking what he should do next. He seems convinced that Akihito thought he could walk into this and win without suffering the consequences. Ryugo makes it clear he plans to draw this out and make Akihito pay, but then something shifts. Akihito spots a brick nearby. Without hesitation, he grabs it and slams it into Ryugo. The crowd gasps. Ryugo looks stunned. He gets back up only for Akihito to hit him again. This time with Ryugo's own weapon, the blow knocks him down. Akihito smiles, satisfied, and raises the weapon again. Ryugo lies there, barely moving. He looks up, confused and unsure what's coming next. Akihito lifts the tool higher, justifying it by pointing out that weapons were never banned. He's simply following the rules. Then without waiting, he strikes again several times. Yuki watches in horror as the crowd stands frozen. Ryugo finally chokes out a surrender. He admits defeat. He says he can't fight anymore, but Akihito doesn't lower the weapon immediately. He stares at Ryugo for a moment as if deciding whether the fight is truly over. Yuki panics and shouts for Akihito to stop. Just as Akihito raises his weapon for one final blow, someone from the crowd rushes forward and manages to intervene in time. The tension is thick. Everyone's eyes are on Akihito now. There's a clear shift in the air. The students start to feel nervous around him. Akihito, calm and almost curious, asks if this counts as a win. After all, the only rule was to keep fighting until one of them couldn't go on. Someone in the crowd confirms that, yes, it's over. With that, Akihito drops the weapon and walks over to Yuki. He tells him they've won and places a hand on his shoulder, but Yuki doesn't feel relieved, just unsettled. Akihito casually brings up the burgers he mentioned earlier, expecting Yuki to hold up his end of the deal. Yuki insists that wasn't something he agreed to, but Akihito grabs his hand and weighs it off like it's no big deal. Yuki glances back at Ryugo, who's still lying on the floor. Something about this victory feels wrong. Around them, rumors start to rise. A few students say someone should call for help. Suddenly, a loud rumble comes from a distance. Everyone turns. A motorcycle approaches quickly. It's Ryugo Maneda, Ryugo's older brother. He steps off the bike and walks toward the group. One student rushes to explain what happened, telling him that Ryugo got hurt and that it was the new transfer student's doing. Ryugo responds by striking the messenger without hesitation, knocking the student down. He walks over to his brother and sees just how bad the damage is. Ryugo, though injured, looks relieved to see him. But then without warning, Ryugo hits him too. The students are stunned. Ryugo makes it clear weakness deserves defeat. He tosses some cash to the crowd and gives them one task, find Akihito. No matter what, the students scramble, suddenly motivated. Later, the scene shifts to a burger shop. Akihito and Yuki sit together at a table, scanning the menu. Akihito is excited. Everything looks good to him. When the server arrives to take their order, Akihito confidently says he wants one of everything. Yuki tries to talk him down, suggesting that might be a bit much. Akihito ends up ordering 2 sets of cheeseburgers and unknowingly requests a smile as if it were part of the menu. The server, slightly amused, smiles back. Their food arrives. Akihito digs in, clearly enjoying it. He turns to Yuki, asking what exactly he's eating. Yuki watches him, wondering if this is Akihito's first time trying a burger. The memory of the earlier fight flashes through his mind. Akihito swinging with no restraint, no hesitation. There's something different about him. Yuki starts to feel uneasy again. He asks if it's true, if Akihito really is a criminal. Akihito says he is. When Yuki presses further, asking why someone like that is even at their school, Akihito explains that he was given a job to clean it up. In return, each time he takes down someone bad, his prison sentence gets shorter. Yuki thinks it all sounds completely insane. He asks just how long that sentence is. Akihiro pauses for a second then casually says, 500. Yuki is stunned. It doesn't even make sense. In Japan, the maximum sentence is nowhere near that. Even minors can't be punished like that. He starts wondering what Akihiro could have possibly done. But before he can ask, Akihito gets distracted. He suddenly has a brilliant idea. He shows Yuki his latest creation, the Akihito Special Burger, a concoction of fries stuffed into a burger and drenched in cola. He explains his logic. If everything tastes good on its own, it should taste even better mixed together. Yuki has no words. Just as Akihito lifts the burger to take a bite, the restaurant window shatters. 3 figures break through the glass. The staff panic. At the front of the group is a man with shiny gold hair. Yuki immediately recognizes them. They are part of Ryugo Maneda's gang. Akihito barely reacts. He picks his burger up off the floor. Yuki stares, unsure if Akihito even sees what's happening. The man with gold hair walks up and confronts Akihito. He makes it clear that things won't end as easily as they did with Ryugo. Yuki jumps to his feet, urging Akihito to run, but it's too late. The man strikes Yuki, knocking him aside, then turns back to Akihito and demands he come with them. Akihito, still focused on his burger, remembers the 3-second rule. If you pick up food within 3 seconds, it's still okay to eat. But before he can do anything, the man stomps on it. Akihito freezes. His expression darkens. The man laughs, mocking the ruined burger and daring Akihito to eat it off his shoe. That's when Akihito grabs his leg and warns him to move it. The man doesn't take him seriously until Akihito slams his leg with full force. The gang member crashes onto a nearby table, screaming in pain. Akihito, now furious, declares that nobody messes with his special burger. He launches into action, taking down the other 2 members effortlessly. The man with the gold head tries to beg, but Akihito hits him too. Yuki watches in complete disbelief. Akihito defeats all 3 of them without breaking a sweat. He picks up what's left of the burger, holding it with care. Sadness washes over him. Then, in a bizarre twist, he eats it, declaring it laid to rest. He even makes the gang members try it. One of them, still in pain, mutters that it deserves 3 stars, then quickly changes it to 5. Akihito tells them they now owe him a fee for the taste test. He walks back to the counter and places another order, completely unfazed. The server, visibly shaken, smiles weakly. Akihito smiles back, ready for round 2. Later, Akihito and Yuki walk together again. Akihito thanks Yuki for the food. Yuki quietly notes that it wasn't their money. They used someone else's stolen lunch funds. He can't shake the thought. Akihito is definitely not a normal person. Then someone appears behind them. It's Fuyumi. Akihito lights up, happy to see her. Yuki is struck by how pretty she is. For a moment, he wonders if she's Akihito's sister. Without a word, Fuyumi slaps handcuffs onto Akihito. She reminds him that he wasn't supposed to do anything without checking first. Akihito casually blames Yuki, saying he was told to get food. Yuki is stunned and denies it. Fuyumi pulls Akihito along, saying it's time to go. He asks her not to tug so hard. Just before they leave, Akihito turns back and asks Yuki for his name, apparently forgetting it completely. Yuki can't believe it. They wave goodbye. Yuki walks home alone, thinking back on the entire day. Despite everything, he finds himself laughing. Being around Aikido was fun. Just then, he bumps into someone and falls. As he looks up to apologize, his face goes pale. Standing in front of him is Ryugo Maneda. Yuki freezes. So back at the apartment, Aikido was still wearing his handcuffs and Furiyuman was making dinner. He was starving, totally focused on food, and kept asking when it would be ready. But she just kind of looked away and told him he wasn't getting dinner that night. That caught him off guard. He didn't understand why at first. Turns out it was because he broke the rules. She was serious about it too. Said he went out without permission and made a mess at the burger place. The way she put the food on the table, just out of his reach, made it clear this wasn't just a warning. She even told him he should be grateful she was only skipping dinner. Akihito, of course, was upset. He tried to argue that he'd worked really hard that day and didn't even do anything wrong, but she wasn't budging. Then he asked about his collar, the one with the GPS tracker. He wanted to know if he could finally take it off. She told him absolutely not. That thing wasn't just for show. It tracked his movements, and if he tried to take it off or even wandered more than 30 meters away from her, it would explode. Aikido was stunned. It sounded like something out of a sci-fi prison. He tried to defend himself again, saying the burger outing wasn't really his fault because Yuki was the one who offered to buy the food. Fuyumi pressed him on that. Wanted to know if he forced Yuki to pay. He didn't answer directly, just gave this guilty little laugh. That didn't go over well either. She told him no breakfast tomorrow either. Then she shifted gears and got more serious. She said it was important to go over the rules again, especially the whole point of why he was there. That's when she explained the offender transfer system. Basically, people like Aikido, those with serious criminal records, get sent into schools with major problems. Their job is to help clean things up, and if they do a good job, their sentence gets reduced. She said it wasn't just about fixing the school. It was also about giving him a real shot at a better life. Akihito said he'd already heard all of that during training, so she asked him if he really wanted to go back to the way things used to be. That hit him. He remembered what that life was like, and it clearly wasn't something he wanted to relive. Then she made him an offer. If he managed to defeat all the bad students at the school, she'd cook him hamburger steak. That got his attention. He agreed right away, totally pumped. They both ended up laughing. The next morning, he was walking to school already dreaming about that hamburger steak. But on his way, he got surrounded. It was Ryugo Maneda, Ryuge's older brother, and his gang. They were carrying weapons, clearly looking for trouble. Ryugo introduced himself, made it clear this wasn't going to be a friendly visit. But instead of fighting Akihito himself, he said there were others who wanted to take him on. That's when Akihito noticed Yuki standing nearby with a few other students. He asked if Yuki really planned to fight him. Yuki looked hesitant. He didn't want to, but he also looked like he didn't have much of a choice. Then it cuts back to 12 hours earlier, and it all makes sense. Yuki and a few students had been hanging off the edge of a bridge literally. Ryugo and his group were standing above them. It was this really tense moment. Yuki and the others were begging for help, terrified. Ryugo told them he'd help, but only if they agreed to fight Akihito. One of the students, Yorigari, was especially scared. He said there was no way he could fight Akihito and survive. Ryugo didn't like that answer. He actually stepped on Hirogori's hands and let him fall into the river. It shocked everyone. Then he went to Yuki and basically gave him a choice, fight or fall. Yuki was too scared to refuse. Fast forward to the present, and Ryugo gives the order. Yuki and the others charge at Akihito, but it's not even a challenge. Akihito dodges all of them and knocks them out one by one. Then Ryugo throws a question at him, asks if Yuki is really his friend. Akihito says no, just flat out. That clearly hurts Yuki. He starts venting, talking about how they shared burgers and how he thought they were friends, but Akihito still hit him. It felt like betrayal, but Akihito turns it around, asking why Yuki even tried to hit him in the first place. If hitting a friend is wrong, then wasn't Yuki the one who started it? Yuki doesn't respond. At that point, Ryugo starts clapping. He admits that his original plan was to punish Akihito for what happened to Ryugo. But now, he actually likes him, says he wants Akihito to join his gang. Akihito declines. Ryugo tries again, offers him whatever he wants, even food. But Akihito still refuses, and when Ryugo asks why, Akihito says he's waiting for that hamburger steak Fuyumi promised him. That's all he needs. Ryugo gets angry, says if that's how it is, then the only way to settle things is with fists. So the fight between Akihito and Ryugo was about to kick off, and this huge crowd of students had gathered around buzzing with energy. Everyone was loud, excited, and already placing bets. Most of them were completely sure that Ryugo would win. Some were even celebrating early, acting like it was already over before it began. Ryugo laid down the ground rules. The winner would be the one who made the other give up. Akihito asked if it was like the last fight he had, where you didn't necessarily have to knock someone out. Ryugo hinted that if things went too far, Akihito wouldn't exactly be invited to join his side. But Akihito didn't look worried. He was actually smiling, totally confident. He took a breath, stepped forward, and just jumped straight into the fight without hesitation. Right off the bat, he sprinted at Ryugo and picked up a tool to use, same as last time. He jumped into the air, ready to swing it down with full force. The students started yelling. Some called it unfair that he was using tools again, but others were just hyped to see what would happen next. But before he could even land the hit, Ryugo reacted super fast and landed a heavy punch right into Akihito. It all happened so quickly that most of the students didn't even see what went down. Then some of them started whispering about Ryugo's background, that he had once won a national junior boxing tournament. That kind of changed the tone. People started saying Akihito never stood a chance. Ryugo slipped into this sharp boxing stance, moving with this practiced professional ease. Akihito looked impressed even while he was wincing and holding his side. Ryugo threw a few more punches. Akihito dodged the first couple, but eventually one hit and then another. That second one landed clean, and Akihito dropped to the ground. The crowd went wild. Yuki was frozen wide-eyed, just staring. People were calling it a knockout, saying Akihito couldn't keep up with Ryugo's speed, he should just stay down. Ryugo stepped over and told Akihito to get up, probably expecting him to give up. But Akihito, of course, wasn't done. He suddenly lunged forward and grabbed Ryugo by the leg. That move completely caught Ryugo and the whole crowd off guard. No one was expecting Akihito to go for a leg grab. Ryugo reacted quickly and pinned Akihito down. He wasn't playing around. He told Akihito that going for the legs was a clever move. Others had tried it too, but that he knew how to handle it. For him, once someone tried that, it usually meant the fight was already over. But then Akihito made a point. This wasn't some official boxing match. This was a street fight. He reached down to hit Ryugo's foot, but as soon as he did, he yelled and pulled his hand back like he'd hit a brick wall. Everyone looked confused. It didn't make sense why Akihito was the one in pain after throwing the hit. That's when it clicked. Ryugo laughed and made it obvious. His shoes had something solid in them. Yuki figured it out right away. Must have been metal or steel inside, so Akihito had basically punched reinforced armor. Ryugo threw another hit, and while doing it, reminded everyone that this wasn't about rules. It was about winning however you could. The students loved it. They were cheering again, making fun of Akihito, saying he was just target practice at this point. Yuki was watching all of this unfold, tense and anxious. He clearly wanted to say something, but didn't know how to jump in. Meanwhile, was struggling to stay upright on his knees, breathing hard, visibly shaken. His arms were trembling, but his eyes still laser-focused. Ryugo walked over again, clearly enjoying himself, but then Akihito came back with something unexpected. He wiped the blood off and called out the fact that Ryugo was hiding metal in his shoes. He basically accused him of not trusting his own boxing skills enough to win clean. That made the whole crowd go quiet. Even Yuki was caught off guard. He didn't expect Akihito to throw shade like that in the middle of the fight. Ryugo was clearly annoyed. He shot back, saying Akihito could say whatever he wanted. He wasn't going to last much longer anyway. But then Akihito stood up slowly. He lifted both fists and got into a boxing stance himself. Despite everything, how much he'd been hit, how tired he was still standing, and now he finally understood how to fight back. Maneda and the transfer students stand face to face. They decide on boxing, and Maneda offers to teach. He guides the transfer student and lands 2 blows to the student's face. The rest of the students cheer on Maneda because he is so good at this. The students cheer on as Akihito stumbles around, unable to even land a single blow on Maneda's face. Suddenly, Akihito gets a crazy look on his face as he thanks Maneda for teaching him how to box. Akihito steps up and follows the same steps and punches Maneda in the nose. The students are shocked to see this change in power. No one has ever landed a hit on the untouchable Maneda. They wonder who this new kid is. He just saw Maneda punch and copy-pasted his moves. Maneda stands up and asks Akihito who he actually is. Casually blowing his own cover, Akihito reveals that he is a criminal. Who else but a casual high schooler would be a criminal? They let anybody do crimes these days. The students don't believe Akihito for obvious reasons. Maneda calls Akihito an outsider who isn't welcome to do whatever he pleases. Akihito reminds Maneda that he was the one who picked a fight, so he should learn his place. Akihito tells Maneda to piss off and leave the poor kids alone. With a look of a lunatic, he glares at Maneda. He will return the favor if Maneda decided to meddle with these kids again. Maneda pushes Akihito away but doesn't understand his modus. It's not like he is friends with the kids even. Akihito gives the age-old Sean protagonist answer. He is doing this because he wants to live a free life. With this, they decide to settle it like dudes. One final round and then the fight will be over. Both of the boys lock and ready to finish the other. They exchange more punches and Maneda lands another hit on Akihito's face. He smiles at the pain. Now is his chance at victory. Akihito overwhelms Maneda with his punches, but he doesn't stop. Maneda tries to block the hits coming from left and right, but Akihito kicks in from underneath. Maneda falls down, and the dudes celebrate a day free of bullying and kicking their bullies, but like all average teenagers do. The chapter starts with a shady-looking council meeting where a woman, Fuyumi, shows off the stats of the school. There were many damages, but the school improved within 2 days. The men at the table wonder why such a project was even selected, but they give the nod of approval to Fuyumi. Like any person who does a 9 to 5, Fuyumi runs home straight once the meeting is concluded. The door to Fuyumi's house is opened by none other than Akihito, who is in a rush to show her something on the TV. It's news from the day where several male students were arrested for charges on bullying and assault. Akihito flashes that this was all his doing and that Fuyumi should be proud of his hard work. Not only this, after Akihito defeated the bullies, the kids treated him to a delicious hamburger. He got his points and he got extra cash to buy more yummy treats. Fuyumi wonders where Akihito got his money from. The answer is really simple. He got money from the bets he won after the fight. As righteous it was for Akihito to fight the bullies and play the hero, gambling is also a crime, and for that he will be punished. Fuyumi takes his money away, and he sulks like a kid with stolen candy. Fuyumi praises Akihito for a job well done. Akihito counts his number days. He will fight the bad guys, and he will be free soon. Fuyumi tells him to calm down. The next few schools aren't going to be easy to deal with, especially with how even more shady business is going on. Fuyumi worries about Akihito since the next school is the worst out of them all. She tells Akihito to ground himself. It is cool to fight bad guys, but it is not cool to jump into fights without thinking. She tells Akihito the goody-goody advice to help whoever looks like they need help. Akihito smiles. He knows what to do. They call it a night and go to sleep. Fuyumi sees Akihito off to school the next day. The kid is pumped with energy and rushes out the door without even listening to what the poor woman had to say. It's not like she was getting any good tips either. All she was yapping about was to be safe and blah blah. Akihito walks to the new school but finds himself lost. Maybe Fuyumi wasn't yapping about nothing and she was actually telling something useful. Before he can ask for directions, he notices a huge old man with a petite little girl. The entire interaction seems wrong, so Akihito steps in. He orders the man to get away from the girl. The man looks at Akihiro and laughs because of how small he is. The man tells Akihiro to piss off and annoy his mommy. Before he can say more, Akihiro kicks the man in the face. The man doesn't stumble, but he gets mad. Akihito dodges a punch thrown at his face. He remembers Maneda's lesson and follows the same steps. He punches the older man again, and the man falls down. Akihito looks at the girl and feels like he is in love. The girl makes puppy dog eyes at him as if he saved her from a burning building princess style. The girl thanks him and asks for his number. She wants to thank him properly. With this, the girl Kasumi walks off to school. Akihito brushes off his love sickness and remembers why he was here for in the first place. The teacher introduces Akihito to his new classmates, and to nobody's surprise, they are all girls. It's a teenager's dream come true. Turns out the new school is an all-girls school, and Akihito is the only guy. The girls whisper about him and about how shy he looks and how cute he is. Totally normal teenager behavior. Akihito notices Kasumi sitting at the back of the class and his face turns red. He thinks that this is fate and that there is no other explanation. This is the girl who he is meant to be with. How often do you save a poor girl from a thug and she ends up in the same class as you? Kasumi and Akihito stand face to face and recognize each other from the morning encounter. The other girls ask Kasumi if she knows the new kid. Kasumi reveals that Akihito was her knight in shining armor and saved her from a big bad guy in the morning. The girls fangirl over how heroic Akihito is. He sounds like a dreamy hero from a rom-com comic. The teacher tells the class to calm down and Akihito moves to his seat. He says hello to his desk neighbor, but the girl doesn't respond. He hates that he got ignored, but focuses on class. Lucky, he wishes he was seated next to Kasumi. The class ends and Kasumi joins Akihito. She holds his hand and Akihito tries not to end up in the hospital with just one hand holding. Akihito has the prettiest bento even though he is a guy. The girls wonder who made his lunch. Maybe he has a hidden girlfriend. Talk about subtle. Akihito tells the girls about his elder sister, Fuyumi. Kasumi smiles. Thankfully, her hero doesn't have a maiden to look after. Akihito gives her a side eye on her not too subtle remark. The girls introduce themselves to him one by one. They ask why he even transferred to an all-girls school. He came here to solve the school's problems, he reveals. The girls laugh at this. There are no big bad guys at this school, so what does Akihito have to worry about? Akihito asks if there are any bad rumors surrounding the school, and Kasumi brushes him off. He should worry about his school life more and maybe spend some alone time with someone he is interested in. Kasumi going off bold and strong, then she wipes ketchup off Akihito's face and tells him to just call her by her first name. In Japanese culture, first names are only for close friends or immediate family. Akiko doesn't know how to describe this feeling, but he feels really happy after connecting with people his age. The girl who sat next to Akihito in class stares at the group with an odd look in her eyes. The school ends. Akihito walks home but wonders if Fuyumi told him about the wrong school. Kasumi calls out Akihito and hugs his arm out of nowhere. Our girl here going 10 times strong to bag this man. Akihito has some not so safe for work thoughts about Kasumi, but they decide to walk together. Akihito tells her about his previous school encounter and Kasumi praises him. She likes strong men, which Akihito deciphers that she is totally into him. She asks Akihito if he will protect her from some huge mean guy again. Akihito eagerly agrees and Kasumi smiles. Like any average dude, Akihito thinks that this is his shot and Kasumi is totally in love with him. When Akihito gets home, he tells Fuyumi that he is quitting. He wants Kasumi to have a normal life and he will help her achieve that. One woman looks at a dude and he thinks the whole world revolves around him. Fuyumi reminds him that he is only able to roam around freely because he is working for her project, a much-needed reality check. If he quits, he will be sent back to solitary confinement. Akihito calls off his antics. He will work under her if this is the case. The next day, Akihito walks into his classroom and sees hair all over the floor. His deskmate sits on the floor with tears in her eyes and a bald head. Akihito looks at the person who caused this. His heart breaks into a million pieces when he sees that Kasumi has a hair trimmer in her hands. Kasumi puts her good helpless little girl face on and invites Akihito to join in on the fun. He is stunned as he stares at the bald girl, the hair trimmer in Kasumi's hand, and the hair falling on the floor. He doesn't know what to say. Kasumi says that this sort of hairstyle is really trendy these days, and the girl likes it. The girl who is almost about to cry doesn't say much except agree. Akihiro laughs nervously and says that he is glad Kasumi isn't a bully because it almost looked like the poor girl was being bullied. The girls all smile and Akihiro believes their lies. There is no way his perfect Kasumi could ever bully anyone. The bald girl looks at the floor and she knows that she is in major trouble because Akihito just validated Kasumi and her antics. After the class is over, Akihito and his deskmate, Madoka, get assigned with cleaning duty. Madoka wears a wig to hide her hideous hairstyle and Akihito asks why she is wearing a wig. Madoka ignores him and cleans the floor. Akihito keeps nagging her till she crashes out. She says that she never wanted this. Akihito is at a loss of words. He doesn't know why Madoka is mad. Madoka starts crying and says she doesn't want to talk to anyone who goes around following people like Kasumi around like a lost puppy. Akihito doesn't understand. Kasumi is a really nice girl. He asks Madoka for proof. She shows her head. Kasumi scratched some really mean words on her scalp. Akihito doesn't believe it. How could his perfect girl be this bully? Akihito fights Madoka for Kasumi's honor. Madoka slaps Akihito, which is deserved to be fair. She gives him another reality check that he needs to get out of his Delulu mindset. He barely knows Kasumi for a day or two and is acting high and mighty. Akihito doesn't say anything. The door slides open and Kasumi notices Madoka's raised hand. Akihito snitches on Madoka and says that she slapped him. Kasumi holds Madoka and tells her to apologize and she does. She doesn't stand a chance against two bullies. Kasumi offers to walk home with Akihito if he is done cleaning and they leave together. Akihito and Kasumi walk home together. Akihito loves how he can act normal around someone. He blurts out that he wishes that it was always like this, but shuts up because he thinks he fumbled the baddie. Kasumi hears him and blushes. She wants to be with him forever too. Kasumi invites him to an empty classroom in the morning so she can show something very important to him. Akihito, being the lovesick puppy he is, promises to meet her. Before leaving, Kasumi kisses him on the cheek. If all the previous interactions weren't enough, this did the deed. Akihito wishes to marry Kasumi. She is everything he ever wanted in a girl. Kasumi walks home and the same old man shows up from before. Instead of saying anything to her, the old man bows. Kasumi walks towards a house where all the men bow down to her and thank her for all her hard work. Kasumi doesn't bat an eyelash and walks straight to the doors. The next day, Akihito waits inside the classroom for Kasumi. He walks around nervously wondering if Kasumi is going to propose to him or not. He will get married to her and they will have a lot of kids. Totally normal dreams. Instead of Kasumi, Madoka walks in. Akihito is shocked and asks why Madoka is here. He starts fighting immediately because he is worried that she will slap him again. He threatens Madoka with Kasumi. Madoka doesn't stop. Instead, she proposes to Akihito and starts dropping her clothes. She makes a move on Akihito. He tells her to back off when he regains his mind. He is an engaged man and his fiancée is Kasumi. He knows better than to chase after random girls. Akihito moves out of the classroom and the next thing shocks him. Kasumi stands with a bunch of girls who have phones in their hands and are ready to record him. Kasumi looks pissed. Akihito explains that Madoka made her move on him. He was taken by temptation, but he pushed her away because he is loyal to her. Kasumi pushes him away and tells him that he foiled her plans to destroy his reputation. She was going to make a video of him harassing Madoka and share it with everyone. Akihito notices the cigarette in her mouth. This isn't the girl he fell for. He tells her that this is a very mean way to talk and that she shouldn't smoke. It's not good for their future children. The man doesn't get it. Kasumi laughs at him. She doesn't even know him and is acting all saint-like. Kasumi grabs his shirt and tells him that she doesn't want to be with a sore loser like him. He has a face that looks like a potato. She burns his cigarette in his forehead and Akihito screams in pain. He doesn't understand. He wants to marry her and she is acting really mean. Kasumi smacks Akihito with her phone and tells him to back off. He's acting like a real creep and his breath smells. Kasumi's shoes get soiled and Madoka walks out of the classroom at the same time. Kasumi harasses her to lick her shoes or else. Madoka gets on her knees to start licking while the girls take out their phones to record her embarrassing herself once again. Madoka licks her shoes and Kasumi humiliates her more. She looks at Akihito next and brings the hair trimmer again. She pulls Madoka's wig off and tells him to shave whatever hair is left. If he does a good job, she will keep him as a personal pet. Thankfully, Akihito comes out of his lovesick mode and focuses on what a mini Kasumi really is. Everything Madoka told him was correct. He gets off the floor and asks her one last time if she really is this mean witch. Kasumi laughs and says he is an idiot for not seeing it sooner. Akihito grabs the hair trimmer from Kasumi. The girls laugh at Madoka and her fate to be subjected to this bullying. The girls cheer Akihito on, but what he does next is really shocking. He uses the hair trimmer on Kasumi and her hair drops to the floor. Akihito tells her how good her hair looks now. It's the same fate as she did to Madoka. To add to the insult, he asks her if she looks just as trendy as the hairstyle is. At least now, Akihito can see what a witch Kasumi is. Kasumi feels the top of her forehead in horror as she finds the absence of hair to be shocking. She holds the strands of hair in her hand that have been severed from her head and looks down at her locked phone screen as a mirror to see just how bad it actually looks. When the reality actually sets in, Kasumi screams horrified. Akihito stands there wondering if the new hairstyle Kasumi got is a trend these days. He pokes fun at her saying that she looks like a fallen warrior, the one they learn about in school. The bystanders are shocked by what is going on in front of them and suddenly someone in the crowd lets out a giggle. Kasumi just stands there and snaps her head towards the source of the laugh. She cedes and asks who is the one that was laughing and finding this whole bit funny. Everyone avoids her eyes and shakes their head insisting that it was not them. Kasumi ignores everyone and walks away, snatching the shaver from Akihito's hands in anger. The girls by her side explain that they would never laugh at her ever, but Kasumi's anger does not subside and she attacks one of the girls with the shaver right across the face. She moves on to the next girl and the hallway is filled with screams of horror and pain from each and every girl that she goes to attack. There is red stuff everywhere and when she is finally done with all the girls, they lie on the ground squirming and squealing in pain. Kasumi huffs out of breath and she turns around to move on to the culprits of her situation and sees the hallway behind her empty. She grunts out that she will not let them get away with what they did to her. Akihiro and his newly found friend run away from the school, the girl leading him somewhere far away, and Akihiro finally tells her to stop because he thinks that they have already come far enough to not be in danger. The girl apologizes to him, saying that she thought he was just gullible and idiotic, but he clearly proved himself to be something more by standing up to Kasumi. The girl says that he is just pure, and Akihito tells her that he should be the one that is apologizing because he certainly did not help her case. He explains that she should have just said no if she did not want to do something of the sort instead of going along with the bullying. She says that it is impossible for anyone to go against Kasumi because of the Kujo group. Akihito wonders what the Kujo group is, and the girl explains that it is a Yakuza group that lurks around their area. It is their territory, and Kasumi's father is the boss of Kujo group, so she uses that power to get her way and do whatever she wants. Anyone who goes against her, she gets rid of using her family background. She is always the queen bee and never lets the other girls have a say in things. While she was getting bullied by Kasumi, her friend tried to stop Kasumi without caring about anything like power of the sort, but it made Kasumi so angry that someone was challenging her authority, so her friend met an unfortunate fate on the rooftop of their school. The girls kept chanting, asking the friend to fly, and then Kasumi kicked her in the end. All the other girls never thought that Kasumi would actually be the one to physically push someone off because that is cold-blooded murder, but it actually happened exactly like that. The girls stared in horror and were scared to meet the same fate, so they never went against what Kasumi ever said. Kasumi turned around to tell the girls to laugh at the performance they just saw, but the girl who is now the target of Kasumi's sick games did not laugh at all. Kasumi forced her to laugh, and she felt sick to her stomach for obeying her. After that, she went to plead the teacher to handle the extreme case of school bullying going on and was reassured by the teacher that it will be dealt with, and she felt happy and thought something was going to change in their school. But when she went to class the next day, she saw the teacher and Kasumi all smiling and giggling. Kasumi greeted Madoka and explained that the teacher told Kasumi about her little talk with Madoka and how she asked her to do something about the bullying. The teacher was proud to explain all over again, clearly taking Kasumi's side. That was how Madoka got on Kasumi's bad side, and ever since then, she has been suffering all alone at the hands of Kasumi. Madoka has tears in her eyes as she explains all of this to Akihito. She tells him that she has no allies or friends anymore that she can rely on even emotionally, and Akihito cuts her off to say that she does have one, and it is him. Madoka's eyes widen at the bright smile Akihito has on his face and tells him that he is making a mistake by getting on Kasumi's bad side. Akihito starts to walk forward saying that he already made an enemy of her when he shaved her hair off, and he does not mind even if he goes against the Yakuza because he is a criminal, so he has nothing to lose. Madoka bids farewell, and they part ways for the day. The next day, the teacher asks if Kasumi is absent and notices that Madoka is also absent. This does not sit right with Akihito because both of them could not have been absent at the same time. He realizes that something must be going on with Madoka, probably a cold that the two of them caught, but also could be that Madoka was getting bullied by Kasumi's actions. The teacher moves on to start the class and suddenly the class door is kicked open. A strong nonchalant Yakuza-looking man enters the classroom and causes mayhem in the classroom. When asked what they are doing in the school, the man from earlier goes up to Akihito and tells him that the classroom will be his graveyard. They are in the suite room with a view of the sky and beyond of the hotel that is run by Kujo Group. Kasumi sits on the sofa as she swirls wine in the glass that is in her hands and tells Madoka, who is sitting in front of her all tied up and everything, that Akihito is probably getting beaten up as they speak. She records the state Madoka is in and tells her that a few random middle-aged guys will show in a bit to have their way with her and that she should let them do that until she passes from it. She laughs manically as she puts her feet on Madoka's face and tells her that she will record the video of Madoka having the worst time ever. Madoka screams for a silent help that she knows won't get answered. There is no one that is going to help her now, and her life is ruined. The doorbell rings and Kasumi rejoices that it must be the men she called over. Madoka looks over in horror. Nothing can prepare her for what was about to happen to her. Kasumi cheerfully opens the door and gets her face slammed by a fist. She goes flying back, and it turns out that the fake wig she was wearing to cover her shaved head also falls off. Madoka cries from relief that it was Akihiro who came to her rescue instead of whatever heinous stuff that Kasumi was talking about to her. Akihiro walks in and tells Kasumi that he is there to beat her up. Kasumi is shocked. She wonders how he managed to get to them when he was supposed to be occupied by the men she sent after him. Akihito goes to Auntie Madoka and tells Kasumi that the guys in black suits that she sent after him told them when he threatened to beat them up until they confessed, which they finally did after he got started at being true to his words. Kasumi holds her bleeding nose in her hand as she is in disbelief that she sent several men against Akihito, but they were all taken down by one same guy that was standing in front of her. Who the heck really is Akihito? Madoka holds Akihito's hand and tells her that she is grateful to him for saving her life. Kasumi now starts to have a crash-out episode, saying that she is the daughter of the Kujo group and that there was no way that she was going to meet her end in a place as such. Surely someone will put an end to this madness. She calls for Demoto, her bodyguard, who stands in between her and Akihito, telling him to deal with Akihito fast. Akihito tells Demoto to back off because the person that he really wants to beat up is actually Kasumi. Demoto, however, pretends to be a loyal bodyguard, saying that there is no way he is going to lay a hand on Kasumi and make it out alive. But before he can finish his sentence with the sentiment attached, he gets punched in the face. However, that does not have much effect on such a big guy. Akihito goes for another punch on him, and Demoto wonders if he is trying to imitate a boxing match. Demoto picks Akihito up and flings him into the air to throw him down on the hard ground all with one hand. Akihito realizes that the guy is in another league as he falls on his back. He gets up in pain, saying that his back hurts immensely. But before he gets a change to recover, he is taken by the arm once again and is thrown once again. He goes crashing into something as Kasumi exclaims out loud that Jumoto is a profession at judo and a normal high schooler like Akihito does not stand a chance at all. Maybe he could try talking to him instead. Akihito does not give up without a fight as he tells her that he is no ordinary high schooler and her is a criminal transfer student. Jumoto goes in for another attack, but Akihito sees it coming and tells him that without his shirt off, can't grab him from anywhere. Demoto tells him that he is immensely wrong as he grabs him through his collarbone and flings him across the room on his back. Madoka watches in horror as Akihito lies lifeless on the ground. Kasumi basks in the victory, though short-lived, as Akihito still gets up even though he is woozy and dizzy from all the throwing around that has been going on. Kasumi is shocked because he should not have been able to stand up at all. Nomura asks him if Akihito ever learned judo and he gets a known response. He wonders why he is dodging and handling the throws so easily, and Akihito smiles as he lets out a giggling sigh, saying that when he was young, his mother used to throw him around all the time. Madoka looks at him worriedly by learning his new law, but Jumoto springs into action. This time, Akihito sees it coming and counters with a punch, which is stopped by Jumoto grabbing his arm. He pulls Akihito into a deadlock, and Akihito screams in pain. Jumoto threatens to break his arm and then the other. Akihito does not let him get away with it as he breaks his own arm himself to extend further and punch him. Kasumi is surprised by what Akihito did, but Jumoto reassures him, saying that Akihito is handicapped now, but Akihito charges towards him anyway. He anticipates a blow to his left side, but instead Akihito punches him on the right side. Akihito shows off that his arm, though might be broken, he can still pack a punch with it. Demoto lies lifeless on the ground, a complete knockout by Akihito, and Kasumi stares in surprise. She crashes out soon, however, yelling profanities at Jumoto to get back up instead of letting a guy who has a broken arm manhandle him around. Jumoto gathers the energy to get up, thinking of his plan of action to fight Aikido and take him down. He considers how when he threw Aikido around it did not work at all for him. The join locks he learned from judo are not effective in mobilizing him either. Akihito is like a crazy person who is craving for a fight. Yamato wagers that he will probably going to keep on fighting even if he goes as far as to breaking Akihito's legs or the other arm. Clearly, he is no match for Akihito, and he admits defeat in an elegant manner. Akihito is surprised by the sudden white flag that Jumoto has raised in front of him in the shape of a handshake and is confused by the sudden change in demeanor of Jumoto. Akihito goes in for the handshake, ready to put everything behind them. But before he gets a chance to do so, Jumoto reaches for his collarbone to attack him once more. Akihito is not able to move away from him on time, and so he gets injured by the uppercut that Jumoto landed on his collarbone. Akihito stumbles backwards from the attack as Demoto explains that he had originally planned to only defeat Akihito using judo, but there exists more than one technique in art to defeat an opponent, which in his case, the other one is boxing. Demoto lands a kick to his stomach, and Akihito is pushed backwards. He tries to gain composure, but before he can, he has to brace for the incoming attack that is coming towards him. Demoto grabs him from the arm and smashes him down on the table that had Kasumi's wine on it. Madoka squeals his name in a worry, thinking that he might actually get seriously injured or even lose his life if he keeps on taking blows like such. Wine. Kasumi just laughs maniacally. That has been all she's been doing ever since the whole fiasco started anyway. Kasumi turns to Madoka, taunting her that she should not have gotten her hopes high by thinking that she would be saved by a wimp who is getting the beating of his life. Madoka is scared of Kasumi's aura as she keeps on taunting Madoka. Kasumi forces her to get a look good at the state that Akihito is in, all beaten up to a pulp and unable to do anything about it. She forces Madoka to stare, telling her the fact that she believes in that there are no happy endings in this world for people like Akihito and Madoka. Akihito's body lies on the ground as he is passed out. Demoto checks on him and says that his loss was already determined a while ago before they even began to fight. The moment Akihito taunted him by saying that he only has his judo to rely on, that was the moment that Demoto had already beaten Akihito in battle. Suddenly, Demoto's hand is grabbed, and he is shocked to see that Akihito is still kicking well and up for a fight. All Akihito does is to give a grin, and Demoto starts to get angry. There is no way that a kid like him can be so resilient in fighting. After all, he only knows how to pack a punch. There is no way that we'll lose to a guy like him. Akihito picks up Demoto with just his one working arm and throws him across by using his own technique against him. Everyone is in shock at his insane strength and willpower. He's just like a madman who does not want to lose at anything. He throws Demoto's words back at him, saying that he lost the moment he thought that Akihito does not know judo. While Demoto is in the air, he realizes that Akihito might just be planning to send him flying out the window. He decides to not let Akihito get away with this and plants his feet on the ground so that it is more difficult for Akihito to throw him around. That does work, however, because his feet keep slipping on the lotion that fell when he was the one man handling Akihito and throwing him around. He grabs a tight hold on Akihito and says that if he is the one going down, then we'll bring Akihito with him as well. Akihito lets out a giggle, saying that his plan was exactly the same. Kasumi, Madoka, and Demoto, all three are in shock at his disposition, wondering what sort of lunatic would throw himself out the window along with his opponent. Madoka runs towards the broken window now and sees Akihito, who is smiling while falling down to the ground. He exclaims that he is going to be right back to get her soon, as if he is going to make it out alive after falling from such height. Kasumi looks down in horror to see Jumoto in the pool and not moving while Akihito is nowhere to be seen. She realizes the position she is in now and decides to make a run for it. Madoka catches her just before she reaches for the door, exclaiming that she won't let Kasumi get away with something like this. Kasumi fights back, punching her and pull her hair, telling her to let go, but Madoka is resiliently holding onto her, saying that she will not let go as long as Akihito did not come to handle her. Just that moment, Akihito comes in while dripping water and a smile on his face. Kasumi immediately folds, starts to apologize for behaving like she did, but Akihito does not accept it. She then tries to bribe him with money, saying that all of her money could be his, but Akihito only has one response for her, that he does not want that. She even goes as far as to selling her body in exchange for leaving her alone, and Akihito goes silent for a minute. Considering this as a chance, she starts to strip, thinking she might have lucked out. Akihito stares blankly down at her. Kasumi has a weapon in her hand behind her back, and when she gets a chance, she does not hesitate to attack him with it. But Akihito dodges and gets what he wants while simultaneously punching her across the face. She gets knocked out after that, and Akihito bids farewell to his youth that he just lost. At the Special Education Bureau, the case of the school, what Kasumi and her accomplices did with the bullying and the Kujo group is being discussed. The lady with the red hair and glasses is ordered to keep the project going, but discreetly, even though Kasumi has already confessed and is being punished for her crimes. The lady makes her way out of the build and is minding her own business when she suddenly hears a click of a camera towards her direction. It seems to be a man with white hair who took her picture, and she immediately snaps into action, pinning the man to the ground and snatching the phone from him. The man immediately surrenders, and the woman realizes that it is someone she knows, Director Sakaki, who waves at her in greetings. The two of them go for lunch as Director Sakaki explains how she has dealt with all the cases that they have been struggling to solve one by one all by herself. The woman says that she is surprised as well because she never predicted that Akihito would be able to deliver such amazing results in such a short amount of time. He holds his phone up again and talks about how convenient it is to use. All you have to do is point it towards someone, and it tells you whether that person is evil or not. She explains that they are only points that have been assigned by Tokyo, the Special Education Bureau, and the numbers just serve as a basis for facial recognition. And the one calculating the points is the government's surveillance program. Through the surveillance camera that are all across the country that monitors the daily lives of the citizen, and the citizens themselves have no idea that such a system exists. As Sakaki is from the government, he defends his organization by saying that they are conducting the education in secret, so they have no idea about the existence of Special Education Bureau either. Everything has been going smoothly so far, but what ifs? Sakaki mentions that what if their project was to fail, they would face serious consequences. The woman speaks up, saying that she will take the full responsibility if anything ever happens that is not according to plans. Sakaki smiles and says that she is very different and bold from rest of the people these days in her age, and asks if she has decided which school she is going to target next. She explains that her next school is Hoshikyo High School, and Sakaki wonders if that is the same school that has been known for having the best discipline in all of Japan. The woman agrees and says that there seems to be some rumors that concern her from that school, and she needs to check it out before something escalates. At the school, Madoka asks if Akihito is already leaving, and he explains that criminal transfer students are always busy, so he needs to leave and move on to more things. When he sees how bummed out Madoka looks, he decides to exchange contact information with each other and tells her that if anything happens, she should contact him right away. And when she actually does, he will transfer right back into the school to help her out. Madoka cries tears of happiness as she bids him goodbye one last time. At night, he is on the dinner table and asks the same woman with the red or magenta hair from earlier whether his next mission is worth 610 points because the last school he worked on only gave him 150 points. If he gets to be successful with the next one, he will have a total of 710 points, which is worth, like, 2 years' work. He gets excited about it as he shares something with the woman, Fuyumi. He tells her that he realized from the most recent experience that facing people directly is always really important, and he used to judge just by appearances and did not even try to understand others. Fuyumi tells him to reflect on this new finding and asks what he plans to do next, and he replies like a really good boy, saying that he will listen to things properly and think more often, and Fuyumi compliments him for being a good boy. The next day, he is on his way to his new school that he just transferred to and sees 3 men right in front of gate looking prime and proper and tall. All 3 of them have a scowl on his face, and Akihito just wonders what they are actually doing as he passes by them. One of the men calls out to him and scowls down at Akihito's hair and grabs it. He yells at Akihito that the color of his hair is already so stupid, and his face really does not help at all in his case. The second guy comes up to him, demanding to know about his class and student number, and Akihito just explains that he is a transfer student, so he does not know anything yet. He gets pushed by one of the guys and gets mad, so he ends up punching the guy that was holding him by the hair across the face. The guy gets even more mad and asks if Akiko knows who he is messing around with. And when he explains that he literally has no idea, the guy flaunts his arm badge at him, saying that the armband means that they are the members of Hashikyo High School's discipline committee, and it is their responsibility to deal with delinquents such as Akihito. They explain that Akihito broke school rules with his dyed hair and dress code violation as well as assault. Akihito explains that he never dyed his hair, and he only hit back because he was hit first. But the 3 men do not take a no as an answer, and he thinks that he has to fight them and disappoint Fuyumi once more. Just before he springs into action, another voice makes an appearance as the chairman of the discipline committee shows up, all cool and macho looking. All the other men bow to show respect, and one guy tattles on Akihito saying that right after he transferred, he starts breaking the rules. The chairman takes out his wooden pointy weapon and charges at Akihito and sends him flying while Akihito was confused by the whole thing. Akihito falls on his bum after flying from the chairman's attack and grunts in response. The chairman catches a strand of Akihito's hair that lingers in the air and smells it. He exclaims that Akihito did not bleach his hair and instead it is his natural hair color. Akihito grunts out that all along he was saying the same thing and angrily makes his way inside the school. The chairman stops him again to ask about the collar that Akihito is wearing around his neck and still angry. Akihito tells him that they just put the collar on him and he does not know why they did so. The chairman asks him to take the collar off, and Akihito explains that he can't do that because if he does then, the collar will explode. The chairman Shiba nods in agreement saying that he understands the circumstances that Akihito is in and decides to look the other way for him. One of the disciplinary officers exclaims to Shiba that Akihito should not be getting away so easily since he actually violated the biggest rule ever, which was to attack a disciplinary officer. Shiba does not pay much mind to his subordinate, saying that they probably mistook him to be a rule breaker and attacked him first. He tells him to be more careful and turns to Akihito to tell him to button up his shirt since it is almost time for the morning assembly. He asks the bystanders to return to their classrooms. The entire crowd goes back to doing what it was before the entire situation happened, and Akihito thinks to himself that Shiba does not seem to be a bad guy at all. Akihito sits on his desk with his head on the table, already exhausted from the day even though it had not even started. He sees the guy from earlier who picked a fight with him in the same class as him, and he gets a nick, thinking not so pleasant stuff about his stay in the school. The intercom suddenly goes off and a voice yell for the morning assembly to occur all through the entire high school, and Akihito see the rest of his classmates suddenly spring into action. He gets surprised by the utter autonomy of the class, but he does not get much time to stay surprised as the disciplinary head starts to lurking torturing him once more, ordering him to stand up for the morning assembly. Suddenly, the entire class starts to yell out some sort of Article 1 that basically tells to respect the human rights of people, then they move on to Article 2, which is about eliminating the root of evil. The guy asks Akihito if he knows what Article 3 talks about, and Akihito tries to explain something but can't come up with anything worth believing. The disciplinary officer slams his head on his own table, calling him a fool for not using his brain and not knowing what the Article 3 is. Clearly, he has some issues. Later that day, Akihito sleeps peacefully in class, but another disciplinary officer comes to ruin everything for him and slaps him across the head while yelling that students are not allowed to sleep during class. Another punishment for slouching and not sitting straight in a perfect 90-degree posture. The entire day goes by like this, and it finally turns lunchtime. He reaches into his bag to take out the bento box Fuyumi had packed for him, but another disciplinary officer comes in while calling him a fool and throws his lunch in the air. Akihito does everything in his power to salvage the bento, and when he succeeds, he crashes out at the other man who just scowls for bringing in just disgusting food to school such as hamburger, and that the school provides lunch. So if he wants to eat good food, he should head to the cafeteria. Akihito has his food in front of him from the school cafeteria. Some meat, some carbs, and some grains, and as odd as it is, some medicines. When he exclaims loudly about the absurdity of the lunch in front of him, the guy from earlier tells him that he is having a perfectly balanced meal, which was designed by the school's nutritionist. And if he eats this, he will surely have perfect health. Before he can say a word though, a wonder bottle is shoved into his mouth, and he has no choice but to forcefully drink water. Then comes a special green juice, which makes Akihito sick to his stomach. He feels as if he is going to throw up any second, which he does later on when his stomach can't handle everything. By the end of the day, the bitter taste of the food still lingers in his mouth as he makes his way back home. He thinks the school is very sick for making their students go through such extreme lengths. Everything has to be followed according to the rules. As he is walking back, he notices a guy beating up another guy and asking for some money. He makes quick work of dealing with the situation just as Shiba comes in and asks him if he is the one who beat up the guy on the floor, thinking that he is going to get in trouble now. Akihito braces himself, but Shiba just smiles and commends him for dealing with evil and reaches out his hand saying that he might be worth understanding again even though his first impression of Akihito was the worst. He asks him to lend him his strength so that they can make the school a better place together. Akihito is a bit confused by the entire ordeal, but takes Shiba's hand anyway to form an alliance. They bid each other farewell for the day, and as Akihito leaves, Shiba turns towards the bully on the ground and makes quick work of him because this was not the first time he had to discipline the guy. It seems that Shiba's obsession with defeating evil goes far beyond the rights of humans to be preserved and respected as he has no problem beating someone until there's nothing left. Both Akihito and Shiba giggle as they beat up the bad guys as if they are on a date together and having the time of their life. Shiba turns to the student who was the target of the said bullying and asks if he is okay and reassures that he has nothing to worry about any longer. He reaches his hand forward for the guy to take. He tells him that as long as he is around, evil will be a no match for him. The student thanks Shiba and is told that he should stay under the supervision of the committee so that the delinquents won't be able to mess with him. He asks his subordinates to take the student to the infirmary, and Akihito just stands there and wonders what to do now. Shiba looks at him, sighs in relief, feeling proud of having a great day of enforcing justice. Akihito thinks that he used to think of Shiba as a stuck-up guy, but he turned out to actually be a good guy. Akihito looks to his phone to figure out how many points he got for beating up the bad guys, and it turns out that he only got 10 points. Shiba leans forward to see on his phone as well and asks him what he is checking. Akihito explains that when you hold up the phone to the person, you can see their evil points. Shiba instantly freezes and snatches the phone from Akihito's hands, saying that possessing a smartphone is against the school rules and that he will be holding on to such smart technology. Akihito tells him to give his phone back, but Shiba ignores him as he says that he has something to so he shall be taking his leave. Akihito realizes that he might have messed up and will end up getting scolded by Fuyumi for losing the phone that she gave to him. Commends Shiba on such great work, saying that before he had come to the school used to be filled with delinquents who always committed violations of the school rules, but now their school has a reputation of being the most disciplined in all of Japan. Shiba is happy to hear praises of his work, and he wonders if he can ask something. The chairman tells him to go ahead, and Shiba brings up the new transfer student. Iki, the president, reports to the chairman of the school, saying that the total number of violations they faced in the school have gone down to 9. Finally, they are in the single digits. The chairman is happy to hear this in Hito, and whether the chairman knows who exactly he is, the chairman is surprised to hear the name brought up and stutters as he says that he does not know the details himself, and Shiba thinks it's weird that the chairman does not know something even though he is the highest authority at the school. Nothing gets past him. The chairman starts to sweat and tries to be more cautious. He tells Shiba that all he knows is that Akihito is a member of the government and is backed up by big people. Shiba nods and starts to brief him on the main topic. Shiba had come to present about a proposal document. The chairman tells him that he is willing to accept any proposal that Shiba throws his way, and when he actually gets down to reading the proposal, he gets surprised. The proposal in question is set down to the very seconds of every minute should as at 8:29 and 57 minutes. The students are supposed to sit down. It just seems to be so crazy to propose such a thing to manage the behavior of students each and every second. If this proposal gets accepted, then the school discipline will never be disturbed again. The chairman, however, has some concerns as he wonders if they are going too far. They might be robbing the students of their freedom. Since he seems to be getting a no as an answer on the proposal, he takes out the smartphone that he took from Akihito and checks to see the chairman's crimes. He figures out that he is not exactly a saint himself, as he has done embezzlement of funds and harassment of students. The chairman seems to be evil too, and Shiba has to do something about him. Shiba tells the chairman that all he asked to do is quietly give his stamp of approval on the proposal, and the school's improved reputation will be a favorable outcome for him as well. He takes his leave, and as he walks down the hallway, he checks the phone out to notice that there is a password on it. He decides to use the important function to expose everyone's crimes. At home, Fuyumi and Akihito share dinner together as they discuss about his new school and the moral committee. Akihito says that at first, he thought they were dangerous, but they are only working to improve the reputation of the school as well as the environment. So in his opinion, they honestly do not seem like the bad guys, though they should definitely change the food. Fuyumi tells him to continue his investigation for now, and he agrees to helping her out. His schedule was simple. He was to inspect the packed lunches, beating up some bad guys, and then ending the day. Akiko and Shiba walk down the stairs after dealing with evil, and Shiba thanks him because due to him, the discipline at the school is even better than what it was before. He is truly grateful for his help. He is one step away from his ideal school. Akiko feels proud of himself. After all, he is the criminal transfer student. The word criminal does not sit right with Shiba, and just then a few students start running in the hallway past Shiba. Shiba kicks the guy down the stairs because he broke the rule of no running in the hallway, and the guy ends up breaking his leg. Akihito is surprised by his actions and asks what he was thinking when he did that, but Shiba just stands there menacingly without feeling any remorse whatsoever. The student screams in pain, yelling out how his leg hurts. Akihito goes to check on the guy, asking if he can stand and lending him a hand, but Shiba comes behind him and smacks his helping hand away. Akihito looks back at Shiba in surprise, and Shiba asks why he would help the evil. If he does that, then his hand will get dirty. Shiba moves on to kicking the guy that he threw down the stairs as the guy writhes in pain. Akihito explains that all the guy did was skip a step on the stair, and it is cheerful and playful, and anyone would do something like that. Shiba agrees. His stare turns menacing as he says that anyone would cross the red light just because no one is looking and continue to watch something even if you know it is an illegal upload, and then feeling guilty while making excuses just to justify it. Everything breeds evil if it is a small crime that does not directly harm anyone. Akihito is surprised by the monologue that Shiba just went through and sees him take out the phone he confiscated from Akihito. Shiba scans the helpless guy on the floor to check his score for how evil he truly is and sees the number say 0. He judges the government for making something so useless, and Akihito demands his phone back. Shiba just dismisses him, saying that he already told him that bringing smartphones to school is banned and against the rules, and Akihito asks why it is not considered a violation of the rules when he uses the phone himself, and Shiba stops for a moment to consider and agrees that he has a point. He drops the phone on the ground and steps on it to break it. Akihito screams in shock at his action, and Shiba has a forced smile on his face, asking if he had a good way of handling it and the power he holds of changing the school to become the ideal school he has always looked forward to. Shiba tells Akihito to look forward to it as well, while Akihito just holds his broken phone in his hand, feeling sorry for it. He is confused why Shiba behaved the way he did and what a justice enforcement plan really is. The next day, Akihito runs towards the school building, clearly late because he took too long to eat breakfast. If he gets late for even a second, then Shiba is going to scream at him for not being a model student. And after what happened yesterday with the innocent student, he does not want to get on Shiba's bad side. He manages to get through the school gates on time, and he heaves while wiping his sweat as he is relieved for making it on time. When he opens his eyes to look around, he sees the disciplinary officers beating up other students that were just like him, on time but slightly late. The entire atmosphere of the school seemed off, and Akihito sees a student running in through the gates of the school just like him, being relieved that he made it on time, but immediately eats a punch across the face. The disciplinary officer continues to beat the living spirit out of him, saying that he is 0.1 second too late. He must be insane for being so late. Akihito sees other innocent students that are getting choked by their own ties for not wearing it properly and for wearing their skirt shorter than what was advised. Just then Shiba comes in and marvels at how beautiful the discipline is working out for the school. The evil is getting punished, and Akihito decides to confront him. He asks whether Shiba also thinks that the punishments are getting out of hand and even worse than before, and Shiba shows no emotion. In fact, he seems happy that the students are getting treated so badly. He thinks that they might actually be treating the students a little too leniently still. He spots a student amongst the crowds and tells her that since her hair is dyed, it is a school violation of the rules. She explains that she was already warned about it, so she dyed her hair back to black, and Akihito says that he is not against the rules anymore. Shiba turns around to pick up a bucket of water and walks back towards the girl. Akihito just stares and wonders what he is about to do, but he does not have a good feeling in his gut. Akihito grabs the girl by her hair and shoves her head down the bucket. The girl starts to lose oxygen because of how sudden everything happened, and Shiba crashes out that he saw 2 strands of hair that had not been dyed back to black and that she needs to do it properly. Hokkaido can't bear to watch this as a bystander and tells him to stop, and Shiba looks at him weirdly as if he is high, telling him that they already discussed this and how he plans to make the school free of any evil. Shiba asks him if what he is doing is wrong. He is just dealing with evil after all. Hokkaido stares at him like he is madman, finally starting to realize that he has some major problems, but is unable to go against him for the sake of his mission that Fuyumi had trusted him with. He tells Shiba that what he is doing is not wrong. And before he can explain further just how extreme the actions are, Shiba cuts him off with a smile on his face and walks towards him. He tells Akihito that all he should do is to quietly watch and observe because that would be justice. Akihito takes his advice and takes a good look around him, innocent students lying on the ground all beaten up just for minor mistakes, and wonder what justice really means when everyone wounds up in such a bad condition just in the name of justice. At night, Akihito does not seem like his usual cheerful self that he usually is when they eat dinner together. Worries, Fuyumi asks him if something is wrong because he has not been eating anything at all. She asks him if something happened at school, and while looking all glum, Akihito asked her a weird question about whether she knows what justice truly is. She wonders what this is all about and whether Akihito is sick and has a fever or not. Akihito explains that Shiba is punishing the students who did bad things at school, all in the name of justice and to eliminate evil, but it has gone too far, and his methods are really extreme. It does not feel right to Akihito at all. Fuyumi considers for a moment in silence and tells him that there is no way anyone would be able to answer the question to justice and be satisfied because good and evil depend on each person. So in the end justice is just ego. The right that someone believes in is justice. This leaves an impression in Akihito's brain as he replays her words in his head constantly. Fuyumi explains that many think that being a criminal transfer student is wrong, but she believes in him and believes that he will change the school's situation that he is in now as well, just like the other times he has done the same. Hakuhito remembers all the past school that he transferred into and created a change in dynamics in, and remembers how the people were so thankful to him for saving them and their school. Fuyumi tells him to believe in himself and the right he feels that exists. Later that night, in his own home that looks very traditional, Shiba has a few of the pointy weapon in front of him. He pulls one out, and it is definitely not the wooden one this time. He swears to himself that everything he does, all of his action, is for justice and justice alone. The next day at the morning assembly, the entire Vibes feels as if they are in the army and getting trained to go to war. Everyone is still, even though they were told to be at ease for the assembly. One of the disciplinary officers announces that the school-wide morning assembly is about to begin and calls the committee chairman Shiba onto the stage to commence the assembly. Shiba steps onto the stage in a fashionable manner and immediately exclaims for the chant for justice in unison. All the students are too scared to go against his words and start to recite the first article, then the second and the third. When he is pleased with the result he was expecting to get, he commends the students and tells that they will begin to practice justice enforcement plan from that very day. According to the plan, everyone needs to act according to the instructions of the morals committee. After the bag check and uniform sizing as well as haircuts that the other disciplinary officers will perform personally for each and every student, they need to act according to the assigned schedule given to them that regulates their behavior by the second. He asks the students to join hands together with him and turn their school life into one that is full of smiles and happiness and free from all evil. The students, however, do not look as thrilled as him, but he is taken aback by his committee officers exclaiming about a commotion. He notices that Akihito has one of the members of the committee in his grip from his hair and dragging him across the ground towards the ground where Shiba is standing. He apologizes with a wide grin on his face, saying that he somehow ended up being late. The disciplinary officers do not take his shenanigans for granted and immediately get to setting things straight, starting with a punch across his face. After all, he violated the rule of attack a disciplinary member officer of the committee. Before the punch can be landed, however, Akihito smacks the guy down to the ground. The crowd goes silent and Shiba asks what Akihito is doing by rebelling against him. It is a very important day and he is ruining everything. Akihito starts to walk towards Shiba, saying that he came to school late and that he deserves to get punished for it. What was Shiba going to do to him to teach him a lesson? Shiba smirks, saying that he did commit a very serious crime, but until that moment, he had been the perfect student who embodied his ideal form of justice. So if he apologizes to Shiba, he is willing to overlook everything just one time. Akihito points at him in a challenging way. Instead of apologizing to him, he tells him that he is going to beat Shiba now with all the atrocities that he has committed. Shiba crashes in surprise. There was no way that he was going to let Akihito ruin everything for him, and Akihito tells him that there are some people who believe what is way of achieving justice fair and correct, but he personally thinks of it as wrong, so they should fight and settle which one is the right way. Shiba is not afraid to show his disappointment in Akihito, saying that he thought they could understand each other, but since it is no use now, he agrees to the fight and the challenge, confident that he will win against Akihito because justice never loses to evil. He takes out the pointy weapon from its sheath, and Akihito is all the more ready to jump into the fight head first. Shiba is going to let his blade do the talk while Akihito is going to use his fists to get his message across. Both of them challenging each other to determine who is the correct one and who is the one that stands corrected. Shiba stands to protect his concept of justice, and Akihito stands to make his concept of justice be known by Shiba. Both fight against each other for the same purpose. For justice, Hakuhito tells Shiba to come at him with all that he has got, and even the teachers stare at bystanders. The teachers notice the pointy weapon in Shiba's hand and wonder if that is a real one and not a wooden one, then he is violating the school rule for being in possession of firearm. But before they can continue to do something about it, one of the disciplinary officer punches them across the face and tells them to shut up because talking is not allowed during morning assembly. No matter if the person is a teacher or a student, there must be no exceptions to justice. Meanwhile, Akihito lands a punch on the same guy for speaking during assembly. Of course, he also broke the rule by speaking no matter for what reason. The officer gets angry, goes to smack him back, but Shiba stops him in his tracks saying that he is not the one who is going to fight Akihito. Akihito's judgment will be passed by him and himself alone. Both the officer and Akihito is surprised by the pointy weapon pointed towards them. Shiba just refers to Akihito, telling him not to commit more sins than he already has. Akihito pauses for a bit and wonders if he can ask something. Shiba smiles and asks what it is. Maybe he finally accepts his sins, but Akihito points towards the pointy weapon in his hand and calling it very cool. The crowd goes silent for a while as Shiba smirks, saying that he does not understand Akihito at all. Akihito can recognize how great the pointy weapon is but won't understand his concept of justice and instead rejects it. He does not wait any longer and swings it at Akihito, trying to get a piece of him. Shiba goes on a rampage as Akihito continues to dodge his every attack. He exclaims how he is only trying to enforce justice for the sake of everyone in the school, and he will eliminate evil for the sake of everyone. They should be thanking him for getting rid of evil like Akihito. He backs Akihito in a corner, and they have no choice but to enter the gym hall. Akihito crashes into a bunch of random things and sees something that gives him an idea. Suga waits for Akihito to emerge from the gym because he is not willing to fight him in such a confined space. Akihito launches forward and Shiba and attacks him using an umbrella, calling it his special weapon. Shiba fixes his tie as he says that the way that Akihito fights is too vulgar and should not be allowed at school, and Akihito tells him to shut up and continue what they have been doing. They stand in front of each other now facing each other, and Shiba sighs as he says that he might have been underestimated by everyone, especially Akihito way too much. He gets into a stance for his justice/attack, and Akihito laughs out loud at such a weird name and posture, but he suddenly gets an image in his head of him losing his brain and flying off. Before it actually happens though, he quickly moves backwards to dodge the attack that could cost him his life, and he wonders if the imagine he saw was a live flashback meant to save him that very moment. Akihito opens up the umbrella to use it as a barrier against Shiba's attacks, but Shiba slices the umbrella in half as well while he calls Akihito pathetic for fighting in such a childish manner. Akihito takes a hit at the torso after Shiba slashed through the umbrella, and there is a lot of fluid on the ground that starts to drip. He wonders what sort of technique that Shiba is using, but before he can think any further, Shiba just launches forward at him, not giving him a chance to breathe. Hakuto asks him why he is so obsessed with rules and following them, and Shiba exclaims that he has no reason to do right thing. After all, everyone should do the right thing. Hakuto tells him that Shiba is going too far with his antics. Akihito smacks his arm and forces him to move backward, and then runs off behind him to grab a twig from the ground, which looks sturdy enough to be used as a weapon. He had two twigs in his hand like a dual weapon, and he calls it Kido special attack and lunges forward and up in the arm towards Shiba. Shiba stands there like a ghost, unable to move away from the incoming attack, but dodges on tip so that there is no damage done to him physically. However, his blazer is ripped and a picture of Superman holding a weapon falls out of his pocket. The picture falls to the ground and Akihito picks it up, but before he can do so, Shiba starts crashing once again, demanding him to give the picture back. Akihito looks up at Shiba and sees him absolutely seething over him. He stands back up and waves the picture at his face, asking if the picture is his and wonders why he would bring such a thing to the school since bringing such entertainment things to school is a violation of the school rules. Shiba is serious, however. He warns Akihito not to touch his precious picture with his filthy hands because that is his medal of justice that he got when he was a younger kid. Absolutely did not have any problems at all back then. When Shiba was a child, he had very few friends even then, and so he would be at home all day and watch some anime on the TV. That was how he met him. The hero of justice. The hero of justice was just a kid's show who defeated the bad guys and saved the world, but for Shiba, he meant the world to him. The hero of justice used to make promises fighting monsters to protect his city, and then the monsters would be scared of him and fight him for trying to get in their way even though they had not done anything bad at all. According to the monsters, of course, the monster just wanted to rebuild the city so that everyone could live in it, but the justice man claimed to eliminate the evil in the name of justice. He was going to judge everyone that was even slightly dangerous. Oddly enough, he, hero of justice, also had an attack called the Justice Slash and had the same pointy weapon that Shiba also used. After he was doing enforcing judgment onto the monsters, Justice Man used to get thanks from the citizens of the city for saving their life and their city, to which Justice Man would say that he had no other choice but to save them because they were crying for help after all. Shiba used to be so fascinated by what was on the TAV, especially Justice Man. And ever since that day, Justice Man became his idol. When he used to be out and about, he only had the theme for Justice Man on the tip of his tongue. He would come across the subtle acts of evil in real life as well, like someone's purse getting snatched, and he would think it to be his responsibility to stop it. The purse snatcher would be running straight at him and telling him to get out of the way so he can escape easily, but at that time, Shiba only felt scared. He felt like he had to run, but at the back of his mind, Justice Man kept playing. His words of cutting evil down kept playing in his head, and so instead of running away, he decided to own up to the bad guys and hunt them down. Though he was half the size of the bad guy stealing the purse, he still stands in his way and punches him in the face when he gets close. The bad guy ends up falling to the ground, and it seemed like Shiba was the one who saved the day, all because he believed in himself and acted on what Justice Man taught him. Everyone in his class the next day was amazed at his achievement. After all, he took a bad guy down who was an adult and much stronger than him. At that moment, Shiba only felt proud of himself, and his classmates also felt proud of him. Suddenly, he became the hero of justice and made more friends than he needed. Shiba still considered Justice Man to be his real hero who gave him the courage to fight the bad guys. After that, he dedicated himself to helping people around town and at school, all that just to see everyone smile. He helped elderly and took down the school delinquents, but being just did come with a price. One day, he heard the boys in his class talk about how he took down the delinquents. By then, it had been common knowledge that he went around helping people, so people stopped praising him. This was something that he did not like because he wanted gratitude in people to recognize how helpful he really is. He decided he needs to become even more just to be like Justice Man and gain compliments, and that was how he got the craziest idea to eradicate all of evil and but the true just human being. Back to the present, Shiba tells Akihito that he just wants to make the school a better place and put a smile on people's faces, and to do that he will do anything he can to get rid of the evil and protect everyone's smiles. He will fight no matter what. This shocks Akihito because according to him, what Shiba has been doing is the opposite of making people smile. He tells Shiba to look around because no one is happy and smiling at him right now. Shiba is shocked and looks at every bystander, saying that everyone should be thankful to him, but no one meets his gaze. Everyone is too scared to go against him. Shiba is confused now. He asks them why they are making such faces with scowls on when he created a school where no evil exists. According to his theory, he should be making everyone smile right now. Akihito grabs him by the shoulder and tells him that the dynamic in the school has changed. The greatest evil in the school as of now is Shiba himself. This realization hits Shiba like a rock, and Akihito just smiles as he says that he understands that Shiba only wanted to get praised, so that is why he went to such extents. Akihito looks at him seriously and tells him not to bring other people down with his selfish and false sense of justice. Shiba goes back into his fighting stance, saying that he will not let Akihito say another blasphemous word. He demands him to hand back the picture of his idol, the Justice Man. Akihito also prepares himself to fight back, saying that he is going to put an end to the stupid and sick game that Shiba is playing with himself and the rest of the students. Shiba performs the Justice Slash once more, and this time, Akihito is ready to deal with anything that comes his way. They both collide with each other, and Akihito is sent flying into the air. Shiba thinks that he won and says that justice will always prevail, and the bystanders are in utter shock. They had hope in Akihito after all. Shiba moves on to focusing on the school assembly, but Akihito comes back. He attacks him with his 2 twigs and rips the disciplinary officer badge off of his arm, crumbling Shiba's false and fragile justice with one hit. Akihito defeats Shiba using his special move. That special move is the Akihito Ultra Slash. Shiba falls to the ground. He is confused. He wonders how his attack did not hurt Akihito. He thinks he should have felt the impact when he landed his hit. Akihito pulls out a few textbooks hidden under his shirt. He calls it the Akihito Super Block. Shiba gets up and realizes that Akihito used the books to protect himself. He frowns. He is thinking that this is a very strange way to fight. Akihito smiles and asks Shiba if he has ever hurt someone before. He tells Shiba that there is a difference between damaging a book and hurting a person. Shiba asks Akihito if he knows what it feels like. Akihito remembers a time in his past when he did. Back then, he did not understand what was right or wrong. He only cared about eating and surviving. Shiba asks who Akihito really is. Akihito replies that he is the convict transfer student. Shiba turns to walk away. Akihito asks him where he is going. Shiba says he lost. He says that now he needs to take responsibility. He borrows a microphone from a nearby student and stands in front of everyone. He says that he used the idea of justice to make himself feel more important. He admits he did bad things to others, then he bows down to all the students and says sorry. Akihito and the students watch in surprise, but the crowd does not accept his apology. They start yelling at Shiba. Some say that just saying sorry is not enough. Others ask how he could hurt so many people and expect to be forgiven. Shiba says he understands. He announces that starting now, the disciplinary committee is disbanded. Suddenly, a student throws a small rock that hits Shiba on the head. Other members of the disciplinary group tried to protect him, but the crowd is too angry. They rush forward. They ask him if he knows how they felt all this time. They tell him to feel their pain. One student pushes Shiba. It makes him fall. Others begin hitting him. They yell at him. They say that he looked down on them and disrespected the teachers. One student picks up a photo of a hero from the ground. He asks Shiba if this photo means something to him, then he starts tearing it. Shiba begs him to stop tearing the photo of his favorite hero. He asks the student to return the photo to him. Akihito quickly grabs the student's arm and tells him to return the photo. He says the picture is important to Shiba. The student cries in pain as Akihito tightens his grip. Akihito shouts at everyone to stop. He says he knows Shiba did wrong, but he is owning up to it now. He tells the students that there might even be people who were helped by Shiba. He warns them that if anyone tries to hurt Shiba again, he will not hold back. The crowd slowly backs off. The students calm down. Akihito returns the photo to Shiba. Shiba looks at Akihito and asks why he helped him. Akihito smiles. He says it is because Shiba's eyes were asking for help. Shiba remembers those exact words were once said by his favorite hero. Akihito says he sees himself in Shiba. He also made mistakes, but then he met someone named Fuyumi who listened to him. She helped him understand that what he did was wrong. Now Akihito says he wants to be that kind of person for someone else. Shiba's eyes fill with tears. He asks Akihito if he thinks he can start over. Akihito says it depends on Shiba. He says he is trying to start over too. Shiba smiles and takes the photo back. Outside the school, a mysterious girl watches Akihito from afar. She smiles and says this is going to get interesting. Fuyumi and director Sakaki sit together. They talk about the Seikyo High School. They both realize something surprising, that Japan's most well-behaved school was secretly being controlled by just one student, Shiba. Director Sakaki says the convict transfer student, Akihito, has done a great job once again. Fuyumi does not say anything. Sakaki notices this and asks if something is wrong. Fuyumi says everything is fine. She then brings up a matter they had discussed earlier. Director Sakaki tells her there are no issues with it. He thinks about how Akihito has done at the last 3 schools. Because of that, he says he has made a final decision. He believes the next school might be a bit too much for Akihito to handle by himself. The scene changes to Fuyumi's apartment. Fuyumi is drying Akihito's hair with a hairdryer. Akihito smiles and says it feels nice. Fuyumi asks him about his injuries. Akihito says he feels fine now and that nothing hurts anymore. Fuyumi is amazed by how fast he heals. The wound from the sword fight is already getting better. She reminds him that he does not need to take off his shirt to show her. Still, she is worried about him. Akihito has been hurt 3 times in a row. Even though the convict transfer student program is working and helping schools become better, she worries about him. But she also feels proud seeing him grow stronger every day. Akihito asks which school he will go to next. He says he wants to help more people. He wants to continue stopping trouble at different schools. Fuyumi realizes she may not need to worry so much. She tells Akihito about the next mission. This time, instead of going alone, he will be going with someone else. Akihito asks if she will go with him. Fuyumi says no. It will not be her. There will be a second transfer student who will join him. Akihito is surprised. Fuyumi explains that the new student also trained at the same place as him. She tells him they will go together to the next school. She says he must not argue about it. Akihito drops to the floor. He says he could handle it on his own. Fuyumi tells him to behave and says she does not want to hear him complain about it. She also tells him not to fight with the new transfer student. The next morning, Akihito heads out to meet the second transfer student. He looks at his phone's GPS and says she should be nearby. As the arrow on his screen moves, Akihito sighs and says he really does not think they need a second transfer student. In the distance, he spots a creepy old man bothering a girl. The creepy old man keeps teasing her, telling her not to ignore him. He even asks how much money she wants to play with him. The girl stays quiet and keeps looking at her phone. The man reaches for her arm, asking if she is listening. Without looking up, the girl says she already has plans. She calls him a bald old man. The man gets angry and says he is not bald and that he is still young. He reaches out to grab her, shouting at her to stop being rude and do what he says. The girl takes a small step back, then quickly kicks him. The man flies through the air and lands in the water. She looks at him and tells him to cool his head over there. She says that his breath smells bad too. Hakato's eyes light up. He looks excited and surprised when he sees this. The girl notices him watching. She tells him staring is bad. Hakito was confused. He asks how she knows his name. The girl smiles and introduces herself as Yuki. She says that, just like him, she is also a convict transfer student. Akihito is shocked. Yuki walks closer and asks if he did not know already. Akihito steps back. He remembers that Fuyumi did mention another student would join him. He says that she never said the person would be a girl. Yuki pulls out a rope and walks up to Akihito. She ties the rope to the collar around his neck. Holding the rope, she looks at him and says it is time to go to their next transfer school together. Hakito and Yuki arrive at their new transfer school. Their teacher stands at the front of the class and introduces them. Hakito steps forward and says it is nice to meet everyone. Yuki smiles. She gives a small wave. She tells him her name is Yuki. She says it is nice to meet them. She looks at the class and says she would be happy if everyone could be friendly with her. The students whisper to each other that Yuki is really cute. Some of them say she is like an angel. The teacher points to their seats. Akihito is surprised when he sees that he will be sitting next to Yuki. Yuki turns to him and asks if he said something. He does not respond. As they walk to their seats, Yuki tells Akihito that in this school, he does not need to do anything. She tells him to just make sure he does not get in her way. Akihito gets mad and tells her that Fuyumi always says it is not good to look down on others. Yuki does not answer and keeps walking. Akihito gets annoyed. He tells her not to ignore him. He already feels like they will not get along. The school bell rings. The teacher says homeroom is over. Students start crowding around Akihito and Yuki. They say it is rare to have transfer students. They say that it is even rarer to have two of them at the same time. Some students walk over to Akihito and say hello. They ask about the collar around his neck. They invite him to eat lunch with them. Akihito smiles. He feels happy that everyone is being kind. Others gather around Yuki. They compliment her makeup and ask her what she uses. One girl walks up to Yuki. She offers her a piece of candy as a friendly gift. Yuki accepts it but does not eat it. The girl also offers candy to Akihito. Akihito happily takes it and thanks her. He thinks everyone here is so nice. He is about to eat the candy when suddenly Yuki strikes him. Akihito falls to the floor. The candy drops on the floor and breaks into pieces. The students are shocked. They think a fight is starting. Akihito looks up in shock and asks Yuki what she is doing. He stares at the broken candy on the ground. Yuki smiles and says she was just trying to hit a bug near his face. She turns to the girl who gave her candy and says she had too many sweets earlier. She says she will take one next time. The girl smiles and tells her she can ask anytime. She says that everyone has candy with them. Akihito gets up and gets mad at Yuki. He says he just wanted to have a piece of candy. Yuki grabs his face gently and asks him to come outside for a moment. Both of them go outside. They go to the roof. Yuki crosses her arms. She asks Akihito what he was trying to do. Akihito looks confused. He says he just wanted to make friends with the class. Yuki looks serious. She asks if Akihito really is a convict transfer student. She says he does not seem to notice danger. Akihito gets upset. He says he has good danger awareness. Yuki asks him why he accepted the candy so easily. She holds the piece of candy in her hand and asks him if he really did not notice. Akihito says it looked like regular candy. He asks if she thinks it is something like medicine. Yuki says it is different. She explains that some candy is made to look cute so people will eat it without worry. Akihito asks how she knows so much about it. Yuki says it is because she used to eat those kinds of candy herself. Akihito is shocked. He calls her a bad person. Yuki agrees. She says that is exactly why she became a convict transfer student. Then she asks Akihito if he is any different. Akihito smiles and says he is a good person. Yuki looks at him and sighs. She says he is 100 times more childish than she expected. Akihito gets angry. He says she should listen to him. He tells her she has been saying whatever she wants this whole time. He says he has helped many people as a transfer student and that they do not need a second one. Yuki gets annoyed. She says they should work separately from now on. Akihito agrees. He walks away. He says that sounds like a great idea. Yuki watches him go. She says now that the noisy one is gone, she can focus. She remembers the girl who said everyone has candy. Yuki starts thinking, if many students have that kind of candy, she needs to find out how far it has spread in this school. She decides the best way to start is to catch one student and ask where it came from. She believes she can handle this on her own. After all, she is a convict transfer student. She heads back to class. But as soon as she opens the door, she freezes in shock. She sees all the students, including Akihito, under the strange effects of the candy. Yuki stands at the door in shock. She cannot believe what she is seeing. Yuki sees all the students acting in strange ways. They are under the effects of the candy. Even Akihito is acting a little strange. Yuki stands at the door in complete shock. She cannot believe what she has seen right now. Akihito and another student are behaving very oddly. The student gently places his hand on Akihito's shoulder. He smiles and asks Akihito who he is. Akihito replies calmly and says his name is Akihito. Yuki stares at him and asks what he thinks he is doing. Akihito turns toward her looking a bit confused. He tells her that they were both on separate missions. He reminds her not to get in his way. Yuki asks him if he licked the candy. Akihito looks at her with wide eyes. He says that he did not lick the candy at all. Yuki then realizes something surprising. Akihito was acting that way naturally. He was not under the strange effects of the candy. He was just being his usual self. The student near them suddenly speaks up again. He smiles strangely and asks what class Akihito and Yuki belong to. Akihito and Yuki look at each other with worry. Another student standing nearby speaks. He tells the smiling student that Akihito and Yuki are transfer students. He says they both just joined their class today. The first student claps his hands together and welcomes them warmly. All the other students in the classroom turn toward them. They happily welcome Akihito and Yuki to the high school's candy enthusiast club. Akihito and Yuki are very confused. They do not understand what this club is. The smiling student explains that this club is a special group. He says it is where everyone eats candy together and becomes happy. He then introduces them to their advisor. He says his name is Mr. Tamura. Mr. Tamura is standing at the front of the class. He is clearly under the effects of the candy too. He is making strange sounds and cannot speak properly. Yuki feels angry inside. She was right. She knew it. She says that knew that this entire school was affected by candy. She had a bad feeling and now it was confirmed. The student suddenly becomes sad. He lowers his head. He says he understands. He says that everyone reacts like this the first time. He bursts into tears. Real tears fall down his face. Akihito and Yuki are surprised. Akihito steps forward and asks the student if he is all right. He asks if he got hurt or if something is wrong. The student wipes away his tears and takes a deep breath. He says he used to be scared of candy too. He says he thought candies were dangerous, but then he realized that candies are fine. He gives an example. He talks about cola. He says that even cola was not accepted at first. He says everything feels scary at the beginning, but in time, people get used to it. Another student jumps in. He looks happy. He says that he likes the candy given by someone named Yakushija. He says it helps him feel free from worries. He says it makes him feel like he is flying high. Yuki strikes that student hard. She says he is not getting free from anything. She says it only feels that way. She tells him that even if he escapes from his problems using candy, his real life will not change. She suddenly remembers something. It is a memory about her mother. Her eyes change. She gets serious. She asks them where this person named Yakushiji is. A student becomes angry. He frowns. He says they should all make Akihito and Yuki meet their ends. He says Akihito and Yuki will try to stop them from eating candy. The other students agree. All the students begin walking toward Akihito and Yuki. They look ready to fight. They raise their hands and prepare to strike. Akihito suddenly smiles. He says he is actually very strong. He looks excited. But before he can do anything, Yuki rushes toward the students. She moves fast. She strikes them one by one. Akihito stands frozen. He is shocked. Mr. Tamura, their teacher, picks up something and tries to strike Yuki, but Yuki moves faster. She hits him and he falls to the ground. She continues fighting and defeats more students. Hakuhito watches with wide eyes. He cannot believe that she handled all of them by herself. He whispers that Yuki is really strong. Yuki walks toward the student who introduced her to the candy club. She grabs his shirt and gets serious. She asks him where Yakushiji is. She tells him to show her where this person is making the candies. The student becomes very scared. His legs shake. He promises to show them. He begs her not to hurt him. The next scene shows the three of them walking down a hallway. They are on their way to Yakushiji. Akihito talks to Yuki. He says she was really strong this morning. Yuki tells him she does not think so. She asks if Akihito also learned how to fight like that. Akihito says he is not really sure. The student leads them to a door. He says Yakushiji is inside. Yuki notices something. This room is the science lab. Before she can say anything, Akihito opens the door and steps inside. He calls out and asks if Yakushiji is in the room. Inside, Yakushiji stands near a desk. He is looking at a bottle. He says something to himself. He says he is impressed by his own work. He says he cannot help but be amazed by his genius. He turns and sees Akihito and Yuki. He tilts his head. He asks who they are. He removes his mask and looks at them clearly. He asks what they want from him. Akihito leans closer to Yuki and whispers. He asks if this strange guy is Yakushiji. He says the guy looks weird. Yuki does not say anything. She is shocked. Yuki cannot believe what she is seeing. The candies that have changed the entire school are being made right here. They are being made in the school's science lab. Akihito and the old baddie walk inside the room and see a nerd with glasses. The nerd demands to know who these two losers are. Akihito introduces himself, but the old baddie stays quiet. She doesn't even know what to say to these two morons she is with. Akihito, for the millionth time, reveals that he is a criminal transfer student. This sparks the nerd's interest and he happily accepts Akihito as one of his own. The nerd is Yakushiji the genius, who is a genius if you couldn't tell from his clothes and nerd glasses. Yakushiji asks why Akihito and the old baddie are here. The old baddie gets straight to the point. She asks if Yakushiji is making some special vitamins. Yakushiji knows why they are here. They are here for a personal taste of his Lucifer. He pulls out a red-colored ball from his pocket and crashes out over how beautiful his creation is. Typical mad genius stuff. The old baddie recognizes the red ball. Her classmates had the same stuff on them. Yakushiji reveals an even bigger basket filled with shiny balls that are all Lucifer. The old baddie steps up and kicks the basket with her feet. Yakushiji screams as if he had personally been kicked where the sun doesn't shine. Akihito stares at the both of them like they are some lunatics. The baddie scolds Yakushiji for creating a substance that sends someone straight to hell. Yakushiji starts crying about how he was forced to make special medicines. All he wanted was some extra cash. While experimenting, he accidentally made a substance that gives the consumer uncontrollable pleasure. At first, his victims were all the bad boys in school. Eventually, the entire school wanted a hit of Yakushiji's invention. Even the teachers came begging for the special vitamins. The rumors didn't stop till school. Soon, the underworld got involved and Yakushiji got involved in some more shady business. The Chinese bad guys got involved and asked him to make a batch of his special vitamins on a very specific day. Yakushiji starts crying. The Chinese goons will come and take him away. He has no other option. Akihito asks if the Chinese goons are strong. They are, and they have big boy weapons too. If the special vitamins aren't delivered by 7, the Chinese goons will take him away. Speak of the devil and it's 10 minutes above 7. The Chinese goons walk inside the school building with their weapons. Yakushiji starts freaking out, but goes to meet the goons anyway. He tells the men to wait for a little bit. He has run into an herd problem. The goon boss doesn't wait and kicks in the face. A late delivery is no delivery. They start dragging Yakushiji away. Old baddie and Akihito step up and tell the goons to take them instead. The boss goon drags Yakushiji away and sends his minions to deal with the two nuisances. The kids fight the grown men and somehow win. In 9 Logic 101, the minions pull out their weapon and hits the old baddie with the weapon. The old baddie wipes her face with her palm, which gives her 1000 plus aura. Old baddie removes her belt and grabs the man's hand and beats the living out of him. With the minions defeated, they focus on the missing goon boss and Yakushiji. Meanwhile, the goon boss has made it to a ship that is probably sailing to China. Yakushiji screams to be saved, but the goon boss stuffs his face, so he can't make a single sound. The goon boss asks his boss about what to do with the nerd. The boss of Boss Goon thinks it's a good idea to monopolize Lucifer to the market. Yakushiji is a powerful pawn for this plan. The boss tells him that they will be equals in this deal. Before Yakushiji can say yes or no, a car drives towards the both of them. The goon, they beat up, drops at Akihito and Old baddie on the docks. Old baddie kicks the goon one final time and they greet Yakushiji. The boss stands up and looks at the two kids. He remembers Old baddie. The boss turns around and greets her, calling her Yukibi. Old baddie or Yukibi looks like she has seen a ghost suddenly. The chapter starts with a flashback. 6-year-old Yuki stands in the snow as her mother instructs her. She must not go anywhere and stand while the snow covers her entirely. Even though she was very young, Yuki knew that her mother was going to abandon her. Hours passed and no one came for her. Suddenly, an ugly drunk man begged her to go home with him. He will buy her toys and they will play all night long. Yuki struggles against the man. A woman kicks the man away and saves Yuki from the creep. She realizes that Yuki has been abandoned in the cold, so she decides to take her home. At her house, many small children come running to greet the woman called Clara. They give her hugs and ask her for dinner. Clara asks Yuki to join them, and Yuki gladly shares dinner with them. The kids talk to each other like they are closer than family. Soon, Yuki warms up to them and digs in dinner. The kids ask if Yuki will stay with them, and Clara lets Yuki decide. It is totally her choice to be a part of their family. At night, the kids slide into their beds as they socialize with Yuki. She says that she didn't have a choice. Clara just dragged her here. The kids tell that they are the same. Clara found them on the streets in the cold harsh winter, but now they are even stronger than family. Clara is like a mother to them and takes care of all of them together. Clara walks in and tells the kids to go to sleep. After all the kids sleep, Yuki rolls around in bed unable to sleep at all. Clara comes to check up on the kids and notices Yuki. She comes up to her and holds her till she feels comfortable. When Clara leaves, Yuki cries tears of joy. Her own mother was abusive and used to hit her. Clara is different from her actual mother. Clara meets a man in a suit. It's the same man who recognized Yuki, the same boss. He punches her for being late to the meeting. The man tells her to start their business. The next chapter is also a flashback. It has been a whole year Yuki has been staying with Clara and the kids. She fits in like the perfect puzzle piece. The kids yap about what they did all day and how their day went. Dinner ends and Clara leaves the kids under the care of the elders. The kids talk about Christmas. Will they get Christmas presents this year too? Yuki has no idea what a Christmas present is. The kids promise to buy her presents this year. Yuki wants cute clothes and she will get just those. The kids wonder why Clara keeps them around even. Clara sits in the next room smoking her lungs away, stressing over unpaid rent and debt. A few days ago, Yuki and Clara go shopping. Yuki asks why Clara even picked her off the streets. She tells Yuki that she was abandoned by her own parents too. She had no one and had no idea how to survive. Somehow, she did, and now she helps other abandoned kids. The kids are her babies and she loves them like a mother. They are her reason to live. Suddenly, the man from before pops up behind Clara and scares her. Clara looks like she has seen a ghost, but the man keeps a smile on his face. The man says that he is Ryu, and he is here to discuss business with Clara. Clara sends Yuki home and talks business with Ryu. He noticed that she has taken more kids under her care, which means she must be spending more money. Ryu makes a disgusting comment about how the girls Clara raises can make a lot of money for her when they grow up. Clara feels disgusted by Ryu and his creepy suggestions. Clara gets mad and tells Ryu to back off, but he is the one in control here. He tells Clara to back off. She apologizes for her sudden outburst. Ryu reveals that he will leave for China and return on New Year's. Till then, the warehouse is under Clara. Clara sits at night wondering what she can accomplish in a week. Yuki spies her sitting alone and joins her. Clara reveals that she is planning a trip. She dreams of living in the Alps with all her beautiful babies. She asks if Yuki will join her. Yuki agrees. She never wants to leave Clara. Clara hugs Yuki and tells her she will be busy on Christmas Day, but she will return. On the December 25th, Clara opens up the warehouse and steals the cash from all the lockers. When she gets home, she gets greeted by an unnatural sight. The kids stayed up to wish her a Merry Christmas. Among the kids stands Ryu. Clara looks like she was given a one-way ticket to the heavens. Ryu welcomes her home just like the kids did. Ryu reveals that his trip got cancelled, so he came to wish her a Christmas too. The kids love Ryu for some reason. It was his idea to throw a Christmas party to the kids. Ryu asks what is wrong with Clara. She looks like she just saw a mummy. He asks what she did with the special vitamins he gave her to sell. Yuki asks what he is talking about. Before she can do something, Ryu tells them what Clara does and what her job is. She sells special vitamins from Japan. The kids beg Clara to deny this accusation. There is no way their sweet motherly Clara would ever do something like this. Clara doesn't say anything. Ryu moves on with his talking. He asks her to tell what is in her suitcase. It is his money she stole, and if she doesn't say anything, that means she is a thief too. Ryu goes on his bad guy monologue about how much he hates injustice and inequality in business and relationships. Since Clara betrayed his trust, he will take something of equal value from her just to make things fair. Either he will send everyone in the room to heaven, or he will let the kids send Clara to heaven. The choice is theirs since it is a holy night. He is being extra generous. A girl tries to argue with Ryu, but he hurts her. Clara tries to step in, but she is too weak to help. The kids watch in horror as Ryu reveals what a monster he truly is. Ryu doesn't care if they are children or if Clara is a woman. To him, equality is equality. The kids plan on calling the authorities, but they will also take Clara away. Yuki remembers the lesson Clara told her. If anything happens, she will be the one to protect her family. She will save them all from this monster that has intruded on their lives. Yuki grabs the weapon and hurts Clara. She has no other option. Clara hugs Yuki as she falls down. She thanks Yuki for understanding and apologizes for putting her in this spot. Ryu doesn't feel any remorse. Instead, he claps and wishes Yuki a happy birthday. He needs extra help now that Yuki got rid of his only worker. He offers a job to Yuki. Yuki dreams of her life in the Alps with Clara and her brothers and sisters. She is thankful that Ryu was only a monster she made up in her head, and everyone is safe and happy. When the authorities arrive, all the kids are knocked out. They were given some special substance that made them unconscious. The suspect left no trace. Coming back to the present, Ryu stares at Yuki and tells her that this is all fate's doing. He is so happy she reunited with him. As Yuki panics, he asks if she would like to work under him again. Yuki agrees, but before she can get to Ryu, Akihito stops her. He is here for her now. They will get rid of this monster together. Akihito grabs Yukibi's hand, but she pushes him away and walks towards Ryu. He demands that if she doesn't know Akihito, she must dispose him off. Ryu walks off with the nerd who started this whole fiasco and walks towards the ship. Akihito steps in to stop Ryu, but Yuki is quick to stop him. She warns him that if he takes another step forwards, she will send him straight to heaven with a first-row ticket. Akihito doesn't stop because all he wants to do is save the nerd from the criminals. Yuki takes out her weapon and attacks. No matter how much distance Akihito puts between him and the weapon stretches on. It feels like a long python ready to grab Akihito in its jaws. The weapon wraps around Akihito, but he quickly tugs it towards him. Yuki becomes dragging towards him because she is weaker than him. But Yuki is stealthier. She kicks Akihito away and starts hitting him relentlessly. She screams that she always hated his guts. He always does what he wants to, and he never listens to anyone. Akihito stands up from the ground and tries to grab her hand before she can leave. Yukibi panics and attacks him again, but he says nothing. Akihito falls down again. Unable to move, he grabs her foot to prevent her from leaving. Yukibi doesn't understand what his problem is. She was mean to him. She hurt him emotionally and physically. Yet still, he refuses to let her go. Yukibi screams at him to let her go, but Akihito tells her to become a criminal transfer student just like him. He tells her his sob story. He became a criminal transfer student because he ended some people. Back then, he was just a child and he didn't know any better. He didn't even know what he has done will have lifelong consequences. After he met Fuyumi, she made him realize what was right and what was wrong. With her help, he was finally able to see a way to live his life. Whatever he has done in his past, he cannot change it. No matter how much he regrets his decisions or actions, there is no going back. But he has hope that he can become a better person in the future. He doesn't even like Yukibi, but she became a criminal transfer student for a reason. Does she not want to change her future and become a better person? Yukibi starts crying. She wants to change, and she wants a better future too. But if she goes against Ryu and his wishes, he will make her life miserable again. If she disobeys him, he will give her reminders of what happened in the past. Not even Akihito will be safe from his jaws. She doesn't want to lose anyone or anything again. Akihito gets up with newfound determination. If this is the only reason why Yukibi is stuck in the past, he will beat Ryu into a new person. Yukibi calls him stupid for coming up with a stupid idea. Ryu isn't someone who you can just beat. He doesn't even understand why Yukibi is so scared. How will he ever help her? Akihito tells Yukibi to shut up. He knows what he has to do to protect her from that monster. All she has to do is trust him and stay put. With this, Akihito runs towards Ryu. Yukibi stares at Akihito. She remembers her past and the things she wished for when she was a child. She wipes her tears away and runs after Akihito. Ryu stands on the edge of the ship. His men scream that there is an imposter on the ship. Akihito steps out of the dark and faces Ryu. Ryu calls him a filthy little rat who made his way into the wrong cargo ship. Alright, that's the end of the story. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.